their Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, BMV, announced on Monday it will offer the option of a non-binary gender designation on driver's licenses and other identification cards. The BMV said in a statement that those who wish to identify as a non-binary gender will have to fill out a gender designation form, and the BMV will issue a sticker for the license or identification card that reads, "Gender has been changed to X, non-binary." By next year, the sticker will be phased out and the non-binary gender will be designated on driver's licenses and identification cards as X. The decision came after the Maine Human Rights Commission filed a complaint last year on behalf of Maine resident Ian Meredith Danae Lindsay, who wanted to be designated as a non-binary gender but did not have the option to do so. Danae Lindsay said, "Words cannot adequately express the relief I feel and how happy I am that my ID will now reflect such an integral part of my identity and who I am." Vermont and Washington earlier this year began offering a Gender X designation on state documents, including driver's licenses, identification cards, and birth certificates. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday revived Ohio's contentious policy of purging infrequent voters from registration rolls in a ruling powered by 5 conservative justices and denounced by liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor as an endorsement of the disenfranchisement of minority and low-income Americans. In a 5-4 decision in the closely watched voting rights case, the High Court overturned a lower court's ruling that Ohio's policy violated a 1993 federal law enacted to make it easier to register to vote. All 4 of the liberal justices dissented, and top Democrats said the decision will boost what they call Republican voter suppression efforts. But other states may now follow Ohio's lead. Voters purged from registration rolls who challenged the policy in the Republican-governed state argued that the practice illegally erased thousands of voters from registration rolls and disproportionately impacted minorities and the poor who tend to back Democratic candidates. The state said the policy was needed to keep voting rolls current, removing people who had moved away or died. Under Ohio's policy, if registered voters missed voting for 2 years, they were sent registration confirmation notices. If they did not respond or did not vote over the following 4 years, they were purged. 5 other states also removed voters from the registration list for failure to vote. The challengers called Ohio's policy the most aggressive. Many states over the past few decades have erected barriers to voting. The National Voter Registration Act, among other provisions, had forbade removing voters from registration lists for failing to vote. The challengers criticized what they called Ohio's use it or lose it policy that they said violated registered voters' rights to choose when to vote, noting that some voters do not cast a ballot when they do not support any of the candidates running. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The American robin heralds the beginning of spring in temperate climates across North America. Its red breast makes it easily identifiable as the most disturbingly efficient murderer in the animal kingdom. Here, we see a robin rip a worm out of the ground with no moral hesitation whatsoever. This atrocity is but one in a series of cold-blooded murders this bird will commit in a single day. Although feces-fueled worms are themselves one of the most disgusting of all animals, the robin's cruelty remains indefensible. Some apologists might argue that robins need to eat worms to survive, but worms are capable of regeneration. So robins could satiate themselves on fractions of individual worms and leave the rest. But it does not. Unequivocal evidence of the robin's bloodlust.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want to discuss if you would like. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype if you want to sound way better than you would if you're on the phones. You can join us on Skype at username lrn.fm or hop on into our Discord on-air call-in line room where it'll sound almost like you're sitting in the studio with us. In the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And Vin Armani.
And Mark.
Vin Armani joining us for his what is going to be a monthly appearance, I believe, on Free Talk Live. One of the newer movers here to New Hampshire and a guy with quite a bit of media experience as well. Well, of course, you can bring up anything you want. The big news still, I think, today has to be what happened yesterday, or I guess early this morning in Singapore. It was about 9 a.m. Singapore time, about 9 p.m. last night, our time, when Donald Trump met with Kim Jong-un. And we talked...
And they had some chemistry. Cue the Barry White.
What you mean they were touching each other on the arm?
No, literally, Trump claimed that they had chemistry.
Oh, did he? Okay,
Yeah.
I pulled up his tweets. I had not read through all of them yet. Did he say that in a tweet? I didn't think I saw that.
Oh, I'm not sure.
So it was... we talked about it a lot last night before it actually happened, what was kind of expected, and here on Free Talk Live, for newer listeners of the program, we followed North Korea and kind of, things that we hear about happen there. You always have to keep in mind that everything that we know about North Korea, we know because people have escaped from there and they tell stories, and you don't get anything really out of there otherwise. It's just whoever manages to escape from the so-called hermit kingdom, and how much truth are they telling versus what is it really like? We don't know. But
if you get a lot of the same stories over and over again,
it becomes more believable.
It becomes much more believable.
Tends to be, yes.
Yeah.
But then again, that can just be people building on other people's stories.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that I doubt the stories of the people who've spent time in the, let's say, the prison camps that they have there in North Korea, which is something that apparently did not come up in the talks
surprise
between Trump and Kim Jong-un. Yesterday I saw it was late night. I was up late last night, of course, mid-afternoon in Singapore time. One of the guys from ABC News got an interview, I guess, with Trump that went out full today, but they showed some clips from it last night, and they confronted him about the question of the prison camps, and he basically brushed it off by saying, hey, look, we've got to denuclearize first, and we're not even going to talk about the rest of it until that gets taken care of.
So the nuclear weapons were really actually a good move for North Korea, because now they don't have to talk about the prison
camps. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it will get brought up at a later date. Who knows? This is certainly the beginning of something, and it seems to be something fairly positive thus far. I mean, look, I'll praise Trump when he does something right. We did the same thing with Obama. When Obama let people out of prison who were there for drug crimes, that was the right thing to do. It's too bad he waited till the very end of his tenure to do it, but regardless, he still gets some credit for doing the right thing in that case.
I like the Iran deal, too, that Trump claims is, the worst deal in the history of deals. Terrible.
You're talking about with Obama?
Obama's Iranian deal. I mean, it's not perfect, but then again, that's not the definition of a deal.
What was the deal? I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it's ponderously long, and I suspect if anyone would have asked Trump what exactly about the Iranian deal he didn't like, he wouldn't have had an answer. But the idea was
that he didn't make the deal.
Right. It was that they'd be able to go in and check, and that there wouldn't be a nuclear program and all those things.
Yeah.
And as to whether or not that was happening, obviously there's some dispute.
So let's talk briefly about the prison camp situation, and then we can talk about what happened with Trump and Kim, because there was an agreement signed. They did walk away after signing a document.
What are the terms of this agreement? Do we know the terms of this agreement?
Well, yes,
Are we
actually
being told the terms of this agreement?
So, according to CNBC, I'll jump right into this part
Let's
here.
do it.
CNBC.com, U.S. President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un on Tuesday signed an agreement to work towards complete denuclearization and a lasting, quote, peace regime, unquote, on the Korean peninsula.
I like that, too.
The document, which is linked to here, I believe, let me pull that up, which Trump deemed very comprehensive, says the two sides commit to hold follow-up negotiations and to cooperate to develop bilateral relations. Asked about what the agreement meant for North Korea's denuclearization, Trump said, quote, "We're starting that process very quickly. very, very quickly, unquote. And as we did point out last night, Kim did shut down by explosion one of the nuclear test sites before this meeting even happened.
Now, there was word, though, that particular test site was already very unstable and the mountain was crumbling.
Yes,
and so
it had been damaged. That's true.
So, I think the Chinese were warning about that particular thing, that they were like, if you don't blow this mountain up, it's basically going to fall down on you. It's hard for me with these type of agreements, because that to me sounds like we agree to meet again. That doesn't sound to me like we agree to do anything except we agree to have another meeting, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you're having another meeting.
And this was the first meeting of its kind in the history of North Korea.
True. But, far be it for either Trump or Kim to not want to be in front of the camera. To not want... They're both media darlings in their own rights. And, it's camera time.
That's true, and that's true. And if that's what it takes to get some progress, then that's fine.
Agreed.
So again, the document, there's a photo that reveals the leaders, so-called, agreed on these 4 points. Number one, the United States and the DPRK commit to establish new U.S.-DPRK relations in accordance with the desire of the peoples of the two countries for peace and prosperity. Number two, the United States and DPRK will join their efforts to build a lasting and stable peace regime on the Korean Peninsula. 3, reaffirming the April 27, 2018 Panmunjom Declaration, the DPRK commits to work toward the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And number 4, the United States and DPRK commit to recovering POW/MIA remains, including the immediate repatriation of those already identified. And they did release 3 prisoners that they'd been holding prior to these talks as well. Plus, you've got the South and the North just ceasing what was continuous propaganda broadcasts over loudspeakers that were aimed at each side of the border. So there have been pretty significant, I would say, gains made over just the last 2 months. And of course, Kim Jong-un having changed from the saber-rattling version of Kim Jong-un to this new peace-oriented Kim Jong-un, and a lot of people don't believe it. Obviously, they're skeptical. They say even Iran apparently made a statement here saying, "Look out, North Korea could renege on its promises."
Salty.
Well, this is so this brings up for me the folks that are happy about Trump, and I am Trump's dealings with North Korea up to this point. At this moment in time, I am happy with what I see. Just because it worked with North Korea doesn't mean it's going to work with Iran. Like, these are different cultures, different people, and I don't think abandoning the Iran deal was a good idea. But I suppose you have to let Trump do what Trump does, because you're not going to stop him. But I'm here to comment, and at this point, I'm highly skeptical.
So they actually do have the full text of this document. It isn't very long, so in the term of government documents, this one's pretty short. I'll go ahead and share that too here from CNBC. Here is what it says according to a photograph of that document. It's a joint statement of President Donald J. Trump of the United States, Chairman Kim Jong-un of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea at the Singapore summit. It says here that they held their first historic summit June 12, 2018. President Trump and Chairman Kim Jong-un conducted a comprehensive, in-depth, and sincere exchange of opinions on the issues related to the establishment of new U.S.-DPRK relations and the building of a lasting and robust peace regime on the Korean Peninsula. President Trump committed to provide security guarantees to the DPRK, which is one of the things that there was discussed last night. Melanie was on the show saying, Kim's not going to give up his nukes because then the United States could just swing on in there and completely invade and or blow up his regime. And so Trump has committed. Now, again, you can't trust the United States government either.
Not on that one.
Trump has committed to protect the regime should they go through with the steps of the denuclearization. And certainly the eyes of the world are on this particular agreement. So hopefully, to some extent, that will keep people as honest as they can be in an agreement between two criminal organizations. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can join us.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com.
With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.fm. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. You don't have to talk about the North Korea summit that happened yesterday. Very historic and possibly going to lead towards a little bit more peace in the world, which is ultimately a good thing. And, you know, I have to ask, sure, Donald Trump did continue the bombing raids that Barack Obama, of course, had continued after George W. Bush had started them. So he's bad on that aspect, but is this one of the better things As far as, is Donald Trump more of a peace president than the last few just because of this one move?
No.
Okay.
Donald Trump has a style of foreign policy interaction that, for whatever reason, resonated, or the opposite of resonated maybe, with the North Koreans to the point that it has brought them to the table. Plus, there was probably something that happened to the North Korean nuclear program in some way or another that also, coincidentally brought them to the table.
So you're saying when Donald Trump was sort of rattling the saber back at them, that's not a peace president move,
scared
right?
them.
Yeah.
Right. It scared them.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree because there was no war in North Korea. There was no hot war. There was no drone bombings. It's not like he ceased hostilities and ended something. I mean, there's been threats back and forth since the end of the... No, it didn't even end. Since the armistice of the Korean War.
It's supposed to be ending now that the South Korean and the North Korean presidents have come together. And
see, I guess my worry is with Donald Trump being the wanting to be the business president, that what we're really going to wind up with here is we're going to wind up with the exact same regime being exactly just as brutal to its population,
right?
Still enslaving them, and Donald Trump is going to be like, go ahead, Nike, open factories there. And so what we're going to have is we're going to have the manufacturing there, shipping the goods over to South Korea.
New slave labor source.
They're going to have a Samsung factory over there. They're going to have, and it's like, yeah, that works out not good for the North Korean people.
Certainly not.
Wouldn't you say though? So if we look at like Bangladesh or someplace like that. So I mean, generally people will trot this out. This is the modern sweatshop situation. Most of the people that work in a Bangladeshi sweatshop are there because eking a living out of the earth sucks more, right?
Agreed.
So, being able to go and learn a skill and do that skill, even if that skill is like sewing tennis shoes, which is not the greatest skill in the world, but it is a skill. And then, is superior to eating grass like some of the people that were starving in North Korea were in the 90s. So one would presume that it is slightly better than whatever is going on there now, which is probably mostly sitting around and waiting for international charity to come in and throw a few MREs, and that's about it. I don't know.
Is Bangladesh a communist dictatorship though?
No.
So that kind of does throw a different angle.
It's a different angle. It's a different angle.
Let's continue the discussion in moments, but first go to Dave in Colorado Springs, listening online. Hello, Dave.
Hey guys.
Hi there.
I wanted to talk about something that has happened in New Hampshire, actually.
Okay, sure.
Actually, it's something that you are part of.
Okay, what I do now?
This has ever happened. I don't think this has ever happened before. But there are at least two candidates running for New Hampshire Senate who are pro-New Hampshire independence.
Really? Okay, so you're talking about me and Carla Garrick?
Correct.
Yeah, right on.
I don't know if you had brought this up before, but I think this is a little bit of a milestone. Carla runs NHindependence.org last I checked.
That's right.
And I guess you ran an NH exit demonstration once.
More than once.
I recall.
Yeah, more than once.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
And it's one of my top campaign platforms. So you're pointing out that I'm running for New Hampshire Senate as a Libertarian. She's running as a Republican in Manchester. I'm here in the Keene area. And one of my top three, you always have to have your top two or top three big campaign issues. One of them is secession. Another one is ending prohibitions and victimless crimes, and another one is voluntarizing taxation.
That sounds good to me.
So those are the three.
When you secede from the Union, are you going to put a checkpoint at every bridge across the Connecticut River?
Certainly
to
not.
Check for, no? People are just going to be able to travel into your country?
Well, first of all, I'm sure I won't be the only person, deciding on what happens with secession. And further, I probably can't even take office if I were actually elected because I won't swear the oath.
So secession's a government platform that you really don't know what's going to occur once you implement it.
No, of course not. How could you possibly know?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to take it as it comes, see what happens, right? Play it by ear.
Just stick with the federal government and just nullify all the stuff you don't like that they do.
Well, you can run. If you'd like. The filing period closes on Friday, Mark.
Thanks so much.
I think it'd be fun to have you file as the Republican and I could file as the Libertarian
That's awesome.
I've done.
Yeah,
and then
that'd be great.
Take each other on in the general election. and lose to the Democrat ultimately because that seat's gone to a Democrat for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Although not forever. When we first moved here, it was a Republican that held that seat. So
Yeah,
it's
but
not
they changed the district up.
impossible.
Now I have a question for
sure.
you, because what I've heard from everybody, and of course I'm new. I've been here for 2 months. Although I have followed over the years, seems that the conventional wisdom is that libertarians can't win in this state. How do you feel about that whole thing? That you
It's
have
false.
to run as a Republican?
It's clearly false.
Okay.
Libertarians actually did win in the 1990s when they had a party that was strong enough to actually have ballot access, which it now has reached again. So the Libertarians in 2016 hit over 4% for their gubernatorial candidate, who really wasn't very libertarian at all. I think he benefited from the fact that the national level frustration was so palpable. People were so angry about Trump versus Hillary that a bunch more people voted Libertarian. It wasn't because Gary Johnson was a great candidate. He sucked.
Yeah.
And
clearly.
it wasn't because, Jill Stein was all of a sudden, better. She got 3 times the votes she did previously, the Green Party presidential candidate. And Gary got like 3 times the votes he got previously as well.
Right,
So
right.
it had nothing to do with, Libertarian Party could have offered a monkey that was shrieking at the top of his lungs. And that actually might have done better than Gary Johnson.
I think wasn't actually that monkey actually up as a possible candidate?
Harambe, I think, is what you're thinking about. He's dead. I mean, Harambe's dead, but
there was a man
somebody did file for that.
running as D's nuts.
That's true. Actually, it wasn't a man. It was a very young man, apparently. Anyway, Dave, so you're excited about secession. You're the guy who created the idea of NH exit. Any other comments you want to share tonight? Go ahead.
Actually, somebody else, I think Emily Sandblade was the one who gave me the idea. She posted some, like a meme or something like that that had the word NH exit in it. I think that was all she did, but that was what gave me the idea.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you back here when you get done with Colorado. That's Dave Ridley, by the way, from RidleyReport.com.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what he's
Yeah,
saying.
we're losing you, Dave. Thank you for the call tonight. Lost your signal. Appreciate it, though. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
Dave.
Yeah, Mark, so you brought up the issue of nullification as sort of a response, a more rational, reasonable response than, just jumping in full, feet first into secession. And I think that ultimately, when you look at politics, if you're a principled person, you want to advocate for the principled position, and then usually what you're going to see happen is compromise.
That's right.
And you're not going to get the principled position. You're going to get some point in between what we have now, which is nothing close to secession, except for the seatbelt bill, right? Like those fail.
Are you making excuses for the shrieking monkey candidate? Is that what you're doing?
What? No, I'm talking about how politics works and how if you advocate for what you want, for the ideal, you might get part of the way there. So maybe you get more nullification if you have a conversation about secession in the first place.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats
Democrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us toll-free here, take control of the airwaves, and bring up anything you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. Plus, you can call us on the on-air call-in line room in our Discord chat at discord.lrn.fm. Coming up in 2 days, we are going less than 2 days. We're going to be at Forkfest, which is the second annual decentralized libertarian camping festival. There's no tickets, so you don't have to worry about it being sold out. I can guarantee you that whole campground is not going to be full for Forkfest. It's never even been full for the Porcupine Freedom Festival because it can hold like 4,000 people, and I think Porkfest peaked out at like 1,700. So
probably the sewer system can't handle more than 2,000. But
oh boy,
the Porcupine Freedom Festival is going to be coming up shortly too. We actually had Roger Paxton on the show last week to talk to him in detail about what's going on there. And of course, he'll be joining us because he and his family are coming up for Forkfest, so we're going to have him on the air. He's a great co-host whenever we get together with him. And so that's coming up very soon. Forkfest starts on Thursday. I think a lot of people are saying they're coming up on Saturday, but some people are already there. We heard from some folks today. TSA George actually stopped by earlier this afternoon during the Call to Freedom, and he was actually on the air for a brief moment. So
I saw him less than a month ago.
Yeah, so
down
some
in DC.
long-timers that have been coming up here year after year, they're already here. They're already heading up to the campground for this long event, which if you combine both Forkfest and the Porcupine Freedom Festival together, you've got 11 full days that you could spend if you wanted to on a campground with nearly no internet access. So it's got its challenges, but we are going to be able to put together a show. And if we gotta drive down to Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's to upload the show, that's what we're going to have to do. We had to do that last year.
Dedication.
The internet is so bad sometimes on.
It's a campground. It's not supposed to be good, but yeah.
Right.
But you get to hang out with people, which is nice. You get off the internet and hang out with real people who are real libertarians and voluntarists and liberty-loving anarchists, those types of folks. So go to forkfest.party. You can learn more. Again, it's not too late because there are no tickets. You don't have to worry about it selling out.
I love that.
There's also no organizers, no board of directors, and ultimately that means that you have to decide what to do. If you want to just go and hang out and camp, you're going to be able to do that, no problem. If you want to go and create a thing for people to do, maybe you want to cook some food, there's going to be at least 3 people who've committed to be running like food vending sites during Forkfest. And, of course, as the weekend goes on, some of the Porkfest vendors are going to be showing up early. So there may be quite a few choices come Sunday for food. And so there's also like speechifying that's going to be going on. I believe, let's see, there's going to be a talk about mesh networking that happens. Mark, I know you're speaking during Porkfest. I don't know if you've got any speeches during Forkfest.
No, I've got a couple of other speeches ready to go in case there's a space at the Alt Expo tent.
Which we're sponsoring, by the way, along with Bitcoin.com.
We're sponsoring, the Alt Expo, but not the tent. We're sponsoring the Free Talk Lounge, which is the other tent next to it.
Okay, but it's on the Alt Expo site, so we're sponsoring Alt Expo.
Now, question. Yeah. Since there's no like organizers for Forkfest,
right.
If somebody does want to speak,
yeah,
what is the process for that, or do I just grab a bullhorn and just go for it?
You could do it that way.
Okay.
I have a bullhorn.
Okay.
And then there's also like the more kind of scheduled thing to where Alt Expo is going to have a tent.
Got it.
And so they may be looking for people to speak. So you could organize with somebody who is already planning to have like a PA system or something, or bring your own PA, bring your own megaphone, and then you can create an event. There's 2 competing calendars now for Forkfest. So you might best put your thing on both calendars, so one at liberty.menu, the other using Google Calendar. And they don't both have the same events on them, so there's a little more effort. You have to put a little more effort into being an attendee, like you have to figure out what's going on. But we've got the Forkfest forum and the Forkfest Telegram chat group, which now has like 45 people in it.
I like it. It sounds super interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to set up one of the card table with the signs hanging off the front.
Yep.
Have a cup of coffee. Says Free State Project is doomed. Convince me I'm wrong.
Convince me I'm wrong. Yeah.
Well, you can do that, and that's it should be fun. We'll see how it's going to turn out, and we're going to be broadcasting from there every single day. So we'll look forward to seeing you. If you're there, go to forkfest.party to learn more about that event. 2 people we will not expect, which is Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. They just finished their summit up in Singapore, which was absolutely, there's no doubt about it, it was historic because it's never happened before.
That's right.
The President of the United States has never met in person with anybody as far as the so-called supreme leaders of North Korea. And that actually happened, and it seemed to go pretty well. The occasion ended with a signed document between both outlining the idea of a new peace regime in the Korean Peninsula, a denuclearization complete, as they say here, complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And there's just 4 points on this thing here. We were reading the actual text of it. It's not very lengthy. The other points here that the U.S. and the DPRK are going to establish new U.S.-DPRK relations in desire of the peoples of the countries for peace and prosperity. And they will work with recovering POW MIA remains from the DPRK for U.S. soldiers who perished there. So a few different points, and I think it's a good start. Now, will they renege? Will they back out? Will they cancel the agreement? Anything can certainly happen.
If they're releasing prisoners, getting remains of 60-year-old remains from dead soldiers probably shouldn't be that difficult.
Trump tweeted about it, of course, today, saying, quote, "Back home from Singapore after a truly amazing visit, great progress was made on the denuclearization of North Korea. Hostages are back home. We'll be getting the remains of our heroes back to their families. No missile shot, no research happening, sites closing. Got along great with Kim Jong-un, who wants to see wonderful things for his country. As I said earlier today, anyone can make war, but only the most courageous can make peace. Hashtag Singapore Summit."
That was one tweet?
2 of them.
Oh, I was about to say, that's the world's longest. Did he get the presidential length tweet? Like, what's going on here?
They've lengthened tweets, right?
They doubled the tweet length.
That was a lot longer than the double tweet length.
I wanted to make sure that everyone knew.
Yeah, so yes.
Arguably, they doubled the tweet length just so Donald Trump could tweet more ridiculous things.
You might be right.
Yeah. So a little bit more here from the full text. So after the 4 points, it says, and it's very short, it says, having acknowledged that the U.S. DPRK summit, the first in history, was an epochal event of, that's a word you don't hear very often, of great significance.
Hold on, is it a real word?
Epochal, yes.
Epic.
Epochal.
Okay, that was Kavifi.
Of great significance in overcoming decades of tensions and hostilities between the two countries, and for the opening up of a new future. President Trump and Chairman Kim Jong-un commit to implement the stipulations of this joint statement fully and expeditiously. The United States and the DPRK commit to holding a follow-on negotiations led by the U.S. Secretary of State and a relevant high-level DPRK official at the earliest possible date to implement the outcomes of the U.S. DPRK summit. And it says here that Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un have committed to cooperate for the development of a new U.S.-DPRK relations and for the promotion of peace, prosperity, and security of the Korean Peninsula and of the world. So
it's a good thing, man.
It sounds great.
Yeah,
it does sound great.
It's a good thing. Yeah. I mean, anybody who is against this has some serious problems.
If they're against this, it's complete politics.
Exactly.
Right? It's because Donald Trump did it.
That's what I felt like too. I saw a friend on Facebook say something to the effect of Donald Trump has just told every tin-pot dictator all he has to do to, I don't know, reach the world stage or get free stuff or whatever it was that he claimed was to have nuclear weapons. Not that that's an easy thing to do.
Well, I would have asked that guy, can you name another tin-pot dictator, please?
Great point. Comey 2012.
I guess I don't know a lot of tin-pot dictators, so I don't know, but, you know.
So basically he told no one anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's not to say there aren't other horrible men ruling over other lands of the world. Sure. But you know, Kim Jong-un deserves credit for being the one who's rattled the saber the loudest and has created a name for himself.
Sure.
He really has.
Sure.
And so, here we are. And kudos to Donald Trump for pulling this one off. He did it, whereas no one else in the past could ever do or ever even tried to do anything like this. He's converted one of the so-called axis of evil, because remember, North Korea was labeled that by George W. Bush.
I don't know that he has converted. He is in the process of converting.
Yeah. So
we'll see how the things go. I'm excited.
I think Kim Jong-un knows how much more wealthy he could be. He's been outside of North Korea. He knows what Europe was like. He spent time there when he went to school, and he knows how bad they have it in North Korea.
If he just opens up the border, he can get Game of Thrones live.
The toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. But let's talk about the prison camps, because those weren't discussed at the summit, at least that we know of, because, again, it was just Trump and Kim Jong for 1 hour alone. More coming up, Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at Zencash.com.
If you or anyone you love has been diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, your diagnosis may be the result of job-related exposure to asbestos, and you may be entitled to compensation. Over $30 billion in trusts have been set aside for individuals who have been affected by asbestos exposure. How do you protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve? Call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. Capital Legal Group is one of the nation's resources for settlement of lung cancer and mesothelioma cases. Law firms have successfully recovered over $2.7 billion for their clients in all 50 states, and claims have been paid in as little as 60 days. If you or a family member were diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. We'll open a no-cost case review on your behalf. A history of tobacco use or cigarette smoking will not disqualify your case. Visit 800-400-LUNG.com or call 800-400-LUNG. Call 800-400-5864 now. That's 800-400-LUNG.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project,
and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here if you want. You can take control of the airwaves. Coming up, we'll talk about, Mark, you've actually got an interesting sounding story about 15 signs the middle class is being destroyed.
That's right.
So we love ourselves a good top 10 list, and this is 15 of them, so we'll have fun with that. But first, we got to get into the ugly side, the ignored side in this historic Korean summit that happened with Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. That, again, I don't have anything bad to say about what happened yesterday, but obviously this should be addressed at some point in the future, and I hope that Donald Trump, I think the pressure is going to be on him at some point to do this, but I hope that this does get addressed at future discussions, like, hey, these are huge human rights violations, and we'll get into telling you about that according to Amnesty International coming up here in moments. It's Ian, Vin, and Mark in the studio tonight. Want to make sure you know that Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. They've got all kinds of cool features over there at Bitcoin.com, including a news site. So if you want to get the latest headlines about the world of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically, then news.bitcoin.com is a place that you can go and do that. And you can get fresh headlines there every single day from around the globe. Once again, that's news.bitcoin.com. Or if you're brand new to Bitcoin, there's no better site, there's no easier URL to remember to go and learn the basics about crypto. You can even buy Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash through Bitcoin.com. So that's how you get started. Go to Bitcoin.com as we continue here. Of course, we'll take your calls. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. The Skype username is lrn.fm. And we've got a Discord on-air call-in line room at discord.lrn.fm. The story from CNN published looks like this was a couple of weeks ago, but it's still worth bringing up here. And again, we're just past the summit in Singapore, the historic summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, where a document was signed talking about full denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Huge.
And that Trump is saying they're going to expedite this process. They're going to move forward with it quickly. And further, remember, the Koreas... the president of South Korea and Kim Jong-un met and agreed to end the Korean War in 2018. So
awesome.
It's not over yet, but they're moving towards doing that. And it's been 60 plus years, so if it takes them another 6 months to end it, what's the big deal? The story here from CNN, newly released satellite imagery, and this was published at the end of May, by the way, shows that North Korea's prison camp system, where detainees are subjected to forced labor, torture, starvation, rape, and death, may be expanding. Up to 120,000 men, women, and children are imprisoned in the gulags known as Kwanliso in Korean, according to the United Nations. Pyongyang officially denies the camps even exist, but multiple human rights groups have documented their ongoing operation via survivor testimony as well as satellite imagery.
Yeah, it's not like, every country has prisons, and you would presume a poor country would have really crappy prisons.
Sure. of course, these camps are ostensibly prisons in which you will be locked up if your son commits a crime. So if you and your family were living in North Korea and Jack went out and stole something, they might just go ahead and lock up every, like 3 generations, basically. They'll lock his grandmother up, lock you up, lock your wife up. Basically, they punish the entire family for what one person has done, which is insane.
Yeah, that'll keep them in line.
That's intense.
Yeah, and there's a name for it, and I forget what it's like, intergenerational punishment or something like that. There's some kind of name for that.
So the population of North Korea, I just looked at, is some
25 million.
25 million. Yeah. You said
120,000 people. Yeah.
So
allegedly.
So that's percentage-wise, because I believe there's something like 1 million people incarcerated in the United States.
I'd bet you the U.S. has a much larger percentage.
No, it's about the same.
Is it about the same? Okay.
But those are all in gulag style. So you imagine, percentage-wise, that you were to take every single person who's incarcerated, period, in the United States, but they were in a hard labor camp instead.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high percentage of the population in a terrible situation.
It is.
Yeah, they're calling the rate for incarceration 2.2 million in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
Out of 300 million people or whatever.
So it's kind of close.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's interesting.
Prisons in the U.S. are better, but I got to say, having been in jail in both the United States and Canada, Canadian prisons, much better. Much better.
I believe it. So, again, Pyongyang denying these camps exist. Recently, Washington-based Human Rights in North Korea, HRNK, released images of Camp Number 25, a camp near Cheongjin on North Korea's northeast coast. According to HRNK, the map underwent an expansion before 2010, when it almost doubled in scale and has continued to operate at its larger size. Quote, our satellite imagery analysis of Camp Number 25 and other such unlawful detention facilities appears to confirm the sustained, if not increased, importance of the use of forced labor under Kim Jong-un, said their director in a statement. The report comes after separate analysis by Amnesty International this month, concluding that Pyongyang is, quote, continuing to maintain and even invest in these repressive facilities. They said further, quote, these camps constitute the cornerstone of the country's large infrastructure dedicated to political repression and social control that enables widespread and systematic human rights abuses. Further, they said assessments of the satellite images of 2 political prison camps known as Kwanliso, collected in May and August, show the addition of new guard posts, upgrading of a reported crematorium, and ongoing agricultural activities.
See, this is what bothers me about them not talking about this during the summit, is that I can't see this as being the concessions that Kim is going to want are going to be economic. He's going to want to open up his country and to bring in businesses, and ostensibly it's going to be manufacturing. And this really bothers me. If this is, I honestly could see Trump never putting this on the table, and that these things basically turn into slave labor camps that are
for corporations. For
corporations. Yeah. I mean, I so see it, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I didn't think of this, but I think you could be right. If this isn't done properly, like any move towards more freedom,
of course.
If the moves towards freedom are only moves for the economically advantaged towards freedom, then you don't have freedom. Right? Like,
that's right.
If you just take one class...
we don't have freedom.
Right.
Certainly, the wealthy have more freedom than the poor in places like the United States and other places in the world generally.
North Korea. I mean, the freedom, and I don't even know that it's a matter of wealth, though, right? It's just like, if you have any money at all in North Korea, that means that you're part of the power elite, because everybody else has nothing.
You're basically just begging that money off of Kim Jong-un by showing some level of loyalty or whatever, and then he doles out levels of favor. You kind of reach up in rank or whatever, and you get more better things. So I mean, the documentaries I've seen about North Korea show some people that are everybody's a sycophant that you see. And they're all not doing too badly, but that these other people are out in the countryside. You see every once in a while, you'll see somebody working something in the countryside. They just look like hollow-eyed and scared to death of what could happen to them.
And those are the people that aren't in a labor camp.
Right. I was reading the book Dear Reader, which is a fantastic book written by Michael Malice. Johnny Ray gave me a copy of it, and I did some traveling earlier this year, so I had plenty of time on planes to read that book, and it was fantastic. Written from the perspective of Kim Jong-il, who was the father of Kim Jong-un, and written as though it's an autobiography, so as though he's writing it about himself when he in fact wasn't. But really, really interesting way of writing a book to kind of put it in his voice.
Oh, the man's brilliant.
Yeah, it was
Michael Malice.
Yeah, he is.
Really interesting stuff. And they talked about the history of Kim Jong-il, obviously, and he had come up with, at one point when he was younger, he came up with a system to categorize the North Korean people. And if I recall correctly, it was like there was the category of the people who were the loyalists, the people that were loyal to them, to the regime. Then there was like everybody else, and then the third category was the blackballed category, essentially the people who were not to be trusted, the people who were suspected spies, the people who were suspected, that they were going to do something against the Korean state.
You didn't live if you were on that list, I take it.
It wasn't a good life if you did live, and you were probably more likely to be targeted for some sort of retaliation.
I'm surprised they just didn't do so. I mean, if you're going to have the list, do something with it, for God's sakes. I mean,
they did.
I'm sure they did.
What kind of dictatorship are you running around here?
Oh, they definitely did, and they wanted, obviously they wanted people to snitch on each other and that whole thing that went on.
Yeah.
Let's go to Bad Slave. He's in New Hampshire on Skype. Hello, Bad Slave.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
Oh man, what was that?
I don't know, but you're on the air.
Huh?
I said you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes,
I know exactly what is going to say if Trump challenges his prisons and stuff like that. He's going to go on, like you already brought up, that we have way too many Americans imprisoned, and I have to say,
if he does, that would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Actually,
hang on, Bad Slave. We'll bring it back.
Yeah.
The toll-free number here.
Yeah, this is one thing that's totally true. Is if you watch North Korean television, they have some really good critiques
of the U.S.
of modern U.S. society.
They really do. The toll-free number here tonight: 855-450-FREE. They've used the word imperialist to describe the United States in their propaganda, and about that, they are absolutely correct. There's more coming up. Hour number 2 next. Join us on the radio. It's Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5759. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5759. That's 1-800-959-5759. 1-800-959-5759.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,295 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $19, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,839. Antiwar.com reports on Monday, Doctors Without Borders, MSF, announced that they are suspending operations within northwest Yemen after Saudi warplanes attacked one of their medical sites. The attack badly damaged a cholera treatment center in the Abs region in northern Sadr province. The Saudi war and the Saudi-imposed naval blockade fueled the worst cholera outbreak in human history in Yemen over the past year, with over 1 million infected. There were no patients in the Abs facility at the time of the attack. Still, MSF says they have to suspend their operations out of concern for the safety of their staff and will keep their operations frozen until they get assurances that medical facilities will not be deliberately targeted. MSF mission head Joso Martins criticized the Saudi and UAE-led coalition, saying they show complete disrespect for medical facilities and patients. The Saudis have yet to comment on their latest attack, which is one of the many strikes on medical sites in northern Yemen. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, BMV, announced on Monday it will offer the option of a non-binary gender designation on driver's licenses and other identification cards. The BMV said in a statement that those who wish to identify as a non-binary gender will have to fill out a gender designation form, and the BMV will issue a sticker for the license or identification card that reads "Gender has been changed to X, non-binary." By next year, the sticker will be phased out and the non-binary gender will be designated on driver's licenses and identification cards as X. The decision came after the Maine Human Rights Commission filed a complaint last year on behalf of Maine resident Ian Meredith Danae Lindsay, who wanted to be designated as a non-binary gender but did not have the option to do so. Danae Lindsay said, "Words cannot adequately express the relief I feel and how happy I am that my ID will now reflect such an integral part of my identity and who I am." Vermont and Washington earlier this year began offering a Gender X designation on state documents, including driver's licenses, identification cards, and birth certificates. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday revived Ohio's contentious policy of purging infrequent voters from registration rolls in a ruling powered by 5 conservative justices and denounced by liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor as an endorsement of the disenfranchisement of minority and low-income Americans. In a 5-4 decision in the closely watched voting rights case, the High Court overturned a lower court's ruling that Ohio's policy violated a 1993 federal law enacted to make it easier to register to vote. All 4 of the liberal justices dissented, and top Democrats said the decision will boost what they call Republican voter suppression efforts, but other states may now follow Ohio's lead. Voters purged from registration rolls who challenged the policy in a Republican-governed state argued that the practice illegally erased thousands of voters from registration rolls and disproportionately impacted minorities and the poor who tend to back Democratic candidates. The state said the policy was needed to keep voting rolls current, removing people who had moved away or died. Under Ohio's policy, if registered voters missed voting for 2 years, they were sent registration confirmation notices. If they did not respond or did not vote over the following 4 years, they were purged. 5 other states also removed voters from the registration list for failure to vote. The challengers called Ohio's policy the most aggressive. Many states over the past few decades have erected barriers to voting. The National Voter Registration Act, among other provisions, had forbade removing voters from registration lists for failing to vote. The challengers criticized what they called Ohio's use it or lose it policy that they said violated registered voters' rights to choose when to vote, noting that some voters do not cast a ballot when they do not support any of the candidates running. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
A total loser's corpse contained no traces of drugs or alcohol, and a superstitious Delta Airlines adds busty mermaids to its plane noses. My friend, you look like you are in need of the world's finest internet news summaries. Please come in and warm yourself by the fire of knowledge. This is the Onion Week in Review. A new law passed in Colorado this week will allow residents with a doctor's prescription to purchase medicinal fireworks, saying that those in need of stargazers, firecrackers, and Galleria highlights now need only obtain a doctor's prescription. State officials expressed hope that the law would ease the suffering of those in need of huge, dazzling explosions. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man notes that, like it or not, we all die, then get dug up and molested. In other news, white male privilege is squandered on a job at Best Buy, and a local TCBY has missed the past 2 logo changes. Well, that's it for now. Goodbyes are bittersweet, my love, so I'll only tell you, for more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program. As always, open phones for you. If you want to join us on the radio, you don't have to talk about North Korea, which is what we have been discussing thus far with the historic summit, which purportedly is going to lead towards complete denuclearization, at least if the signed document by both Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un is to be believed, complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And you're welcome to comment on that. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE, like freedom. We've sort of moved into discussing the prison camps, which apparently were not on the table for discussion during this summit that happened early today or yesterday, depending on your time zone. So we're going to continue that discussion here as well. With you tonight, by the way, in the studio, it's Ian.
And Vin.
And Mark.
Let's go back to Bad Slave. He's on the line with us in New Hampshire on Skype. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just being a target of this political imprisonment myself.
You went to prison for 2 years because you drove on a suspended license in New Hampshire.
Basically. Yeah. And nothing else, really. I mean, It was,
wow.
It wasn't like I was killing people on the roads or no drunk driving.
You disobeyed the state. Drunk drivers. I was in jail for civil disobedience, and the drunk drivers were in there for 21 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's all of the commerce that goes on that's made illegal by prohibition. I mean, all of that stuff to me is in political imprisonment. Right. It is people who have decided a certain thing about a substance or about an activity that is not harmful, that they are choosing to throw people in cages for.
Yeah.
And
when you were in prison, for 2 years in New Hampshire, again, state prison, did you get any kind of feel for how many of the other guys that were in there were there for nonviolent, victimless offenses like drug dealing, that kind of thing?
That was one of the major questions that I asked amongst folk there, and I asked that amongst people that I, became friendly with within the place, and their belief is that there is more than 50%.
Jeez.
Of the occupants of that. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Did they catch TB in the prison?
Well, no. I've got. I don't know. I've got some kind of respiratory thing right now, and
anyway, you were saying.
Right. The more than 50% of the people in there, have not harmed people.
Wow.
Now, a lot of people in there are not harmful, but maybe on the loser side of things, or, got caught up in stuff. And, a lot of us avoid it all. I mean, I gave up at a certain point because it felt like nothing I could do to extricate myself. I didn't have extra funds. I was being kept from transporting myself easily to go to work and do business. I mean, there was and it all started from in 1994, a cop decided that I dissed him on the side of the road. And I kind of did, but I didn't know he was a cop, number one. And it shouldn't matter if he got dissed on the side of the road, as long as I, of course, didn't harm him. But he's
a cop. He can do what he wants.
Well,
Bad Slave,
exactly.
Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate the story. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. There's just so many stories of people being abused by these systems. And again, North Korea, different only by degrees. As you pointed out, Vin, the percentage of the population that's incarcerated,
it's quite a few degrees,
is very similar. But the number of people incarcerated is very similar. And certainly, if you're going to be incarcerated, it's better to not have to be picking corn pellets out of human feces in order to sustain your diet, as some people have reported that they had to do in North Korean prison labor camps. So certainly there's one place that would be preferable to the other, but that still doesn't mean that people's lives aren't ruined by the U.S. government's prison system, that they aren't institutionalized by it, and to where when they get out, they don't know what to do with their lives. They're despondent, as as he was just our caller was just pointing out there after he got out. So these things have very intense effects on people's lives, and ultimately you're talking about a significant number of people within the United States who are there for nonviolent crimes. And the same thing's true in North Korea, where there's a lot of people there for smuggling a flash drive, right, or attempting to simply escape from the country.
Well, I'm sure of just speaking out and speaking their mind. I'm sure, probably something completely innocuous.
Or they didn't bow in front of the statue of Kim Il-sung.
Exactly.
You mentioned people getting out of prison being institutionalized, and certainly these things happen. But institutionalization can happen essentially to anybody in any circumstance, where they just become too, attached to, being cared for.
Okay.
Right? There's the routine, and there's being cared for. Prison cares for you, and people will always say some prisoners want to get back in prison because
3 hots in a cot.
3 hots in a cot. Now
it's true of homeless people in the wintertime. That's absolutely true.
Sure, that happens. I can say I spent 8.5 years in prison, and majority of it working at the A building, where people were processed out, and I never saw anybody shoved out the door and then beating on the Sally Port glass trying to
come
get back in.
Right.
So I could say that much. But as far as institutionalization goes, having spent 8.5 years in prison, I can say pretty safely that A, everybody's going to have to deal with it to some extent, and B, it's a frame of mind when you get out of prison. You can choose. I knew that that getting out wasn't the end goal. It was the beginning of a new goal. And that means you've got to get a job and go to work every day, not treat people as though they're going to shank you behind the weight bench, or whatever. It's like you've got, a whole different way of acting. If you want to act like you're in prison, by God, we've got a place for you. We call it prison. And so
no, you're right. Of course it's all about your mindset. It's all about how you approach things. It's all about the story that you're telling yourself, and what
I just don't want anybody to get out and say that it's an excuse for going back. There isn't. There's no excuse. You get every second you're still in control as an ex-convict.
No doubt. I mean, that's not to say they don't make life harder on you. I mean, certainly the convicts have that record trailing them.
Exactly. Why should they make life easy for ex-convicts? I mean, I can't think of one good reason to make life easy for ex-convicts.
Well, first of all, if you actually didn't hurt anybody, then you shouldn't have to have a tough time finding a job.
You shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, but that's not a reason to be easy on ex-convicts.
I get what you're saying there. But unfortunately, it is more difficult. Life is more difficult. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm saying that's another hurdle for somebody to overcome and to be prepared for when they get out of prison. The fact that it's going to be harder to find work. The fact that some people are going to turn their nose up at you simply because you've got the word felon, in your history or whatever.
Yeah, you can have to work it at the car wash blues, if you remember the old Jim Croce song where he says he should be sitting in the air conditioning, smoking a big cigar and giving the secretary a little trouble, and that's what the job he should be doing, but instead he's walking home in soggy old shoes with rubber pants washing this car, right? Like, when you get out of prison, prison, the chances are very, very, very good that your job is going to be less than delightful. And you've got to spend a little time at that job, working up to the next job, to the next job, to the next job.
Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the reports about the North Korean prison camps. Amnesty International, according to CNN, as well as a different organization, the Human Rights in North Korea group, have released reports with satellite imagery comparing, different times, showing that these prison camps are growing. That there's new facilities being put up, new guard towers, things like that. So they're investing in these prison camps in North Korea, and we'll tell you about some of the, a little bit more about it. Coming up here in a moment. It's 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever you want to discuss. And then coming up, we'll talk about Mark's story about the middle class being destroyed.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us on the radio here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And then in addition to that, you can join us through Discord at discord.lrn.fm.
Just moved my Blink home security system from my older house to the house that I'm staying in right now. And it was really easy to do. It doesn't take really much. You just
what'd you have to do?
Basically, you take the monitor part, the part that sits by your router or whatever, and you plug it into the new place. The things sync up. You've got to go through a couple of steps. There's a step on the app that basically says, new Wi-Fi or something. So if you change your Wi-Fi, and then it hooks up the cameras, and whoop, it's up and going.
Sweet.
There was one of the cameras was being obstinate, so I had to I uninstalled it and reinstalled it. And
it worked?
Yeah, nonetheless. Okay. It's probably had to do with the fact that it was the camera was farther away from the monitor than the other two when I turned it all back on. So whatever the case may be. It is easy to use the Blink home security system. It is fast to hook up. It's easy to use, and it's really inexpensive. If you go to blinkprotect.com/FTL, you will see a wide array of discounted options specifically for the FTL audience. It's blinkprotect.com/FTL, and they make it easy for you. Extra 15% off for you because you're using our link, blinkprotect.com/FTL.
We've been discussing the North Korean prison labor camps that are holding an estimated 120,000 people in North Korea in possibly some of the worst conditions in the world. We don't really know for sure because you don't get to go and take a walk through and see how bad it truly is.
But that tells you everything you need to know.
Sure. But you can hear from some of the people who were fortunate enough to actually escape from these camps. And I did pull up a story that I feel like we read part of on the air one night, but we never actually got through it here. So I think it's as relevant now than it ever was. So I'm gonna share this story with you, and then we'll get into something a little bit different, which is the 15 signs the middle class is being destroyed. As we continue here, again, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. A little bit more here from the CNN piece about the prison camps, where they've got comments from Amnesty International. And another human rights, watchdog group. According to this story, the UN report in 2014 estimated that hundreds of thousands of political prisoners have died. So again, there's 120,000 estimated to be there now.
Oh boy.
What about all the ones that were tortured to death over the last 60 years, right? So
yeah. It's not uncommon. I mean, this is a way to deal with your least desired political dissidents, is basically put them to work in the mines or wherever, and they just don't come out.
And they expire sometime. According to the story here, again, this has been over the last 50 years. They say hundreds of thousands have died in these gulags. Quote, the inmate population has been gradually eliminated through deliberate starvation, forced labor, executions, torture, rape, and the denial of reproductive rights, said the report, drawing a parallel between the camps and those of Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Former bodyguard of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il told CNN in 2014 of beatings and forced starvation in the camp that he was imprisoned in after he unsuccessfully tried to flee to South Korea.
Man.
So here's one story.
I guess Kim Jong-il didn't ever leave North Korea, so the bodyguard then would never leave North Korea.
Kim Jong-il did leave, as I understand it, briefly.
Didn't he leave on a train? Wasn't there
to go
a
to China?
Trains to China, yeah.
He did take some trips to China, but that's about it. So, for a little bit more of a horrifying look into what life is like inside a prison labor camp for somebody, accused of actually not harming anyone, we take to Julie McCaffrey writing for The Mirror in the UK about a girl named Danby Kim. She writes, "No child should be subjected to the sight Danby Kim endured, watching in horror as 4 men and 2 women were executed in front of her." Aged just 10 at the time, Danby was among thousands summoned to witness soldiers dispassionately end the lives of would-be deserters from North Korea. So, if people are deserting North Korea and they hold a public execution, you have to attend, even if you're 10 years old. So it's not like people who are watching are there because they want to see it. Some probably do, but if you're not there and you're noticed not being there, well, you could possibly get in trouble for that as well.
Now, to be fair, though, I mean, if we go back to like the 1600s, wasn't that the situation right where we're sitting right now?
Yeah. I can't imagine it was good for the human psyche, so
to watch other people executed.
Yeah. So I have executed some pigs in my life.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of get a callus on your soul to do such a thing. And I've stopped doing it just because I can't handle it anymore.
Wow.
But I think that, I think it's bad for people to see public executions for this reason.
Right.
Is that some people are going to find, I like this.
Yeah.
And that's not good for you.
Right.
Years later, Danby would herself feel the wrath of the cruel regime, suffering inhuman torture for 25 days. And today, she spells out the grim and gruesome reality of life in the secretive nation now ruled by power-mad Kim Jong-un. Recalling the executions, Danby, who's now 26, says, quote, 4 men and 2 women were tied to wooden poles and pleading for mercy. Executioners wrapped their bodies in plastic sheets and put stones into their mouths. She says, I heard the clapping sound of shots, saw their agonized struggle, then stillness amongst the blood.
Why wrap them in plastic and put stones in their mouths?
So that it was, I guess, not as hard to clean it up?
Yeah, the plastic part, stones maybe to keep them quiet?
I was so deeply traumatized by what I saw, I couldn't eat for days. Brave Danby is speaking out after fleeing North Korea in her late teens. Her brother, a police officer, hasn't been seen for years after being thrown into political prison. Well, Danby grew up in an era when Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, ruled. North Korea remains as secretive as ever. Danby says, quote, the world knows hardly anything of North Korea beyond propaganda films. We will only learn from real stories from people who lived there. She says, until my last breath, I will carry on working to tell the inside story of North Korea in the name of my lost brother. She grew up in Haisan in Ryanggang province. Her father managed a state museum, and her family were given good rations during the 1990s famine, which left more than 2 million North Koreans dead.
Wow.
She has all the while, of course, South Korea is eating very well.
Right.
She has happy childhood memories of playing on the mountains and eating wild strawberries, but that joy and those freedoms were short-lived. School years were darkened by having to bribe teachers, endure forced labor in fields, and suffer nonstop indoctrination demanded by the ruling Kim family. When she was 13, her father fell into debt, and Danby vowed to help her parents and 2 older brothers. So, Haisan is a smuggling haven because of its close proximity to the Chinese border, which at parts is only 10 meters across a shallow river. She started selling mountain herbs, then worked as a mule for more established smugglers. She says, as well as making money for my family, smuggled DVDs.
Are mountain herbs weed? What's a mountain herb?
I don't know. Probably it's illegal to sell it, though, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's true.
Smuggled DVDs, she says, woke me up to the rest of the world. She says, quote, I stayed up all night immersed in South Korean films, blinds drawn, because it's illegal to watch anything other than the state news. She says, I glimpsed freedom in the wider world, girls talking to boys, women with highlighted hair, and blue jeans. I mean, it's hard to really imagine that was an eye-opener for this lady. But again, you have to have approved hairstyles. You have approved clothing styles in North Korea. There's more coming up here in moments. 855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists, get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want. The toll-free number here is 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM, or call us on the Discord on-air call-in line room, which we're actually going to go to here shortly. You can do that over at discord.lrn.fm. What is Discord? It is a chat service that allows you to have both chat rooms in text form and chat rooms in voice form, so you can talk to other participants there. Free Talk Live's hosts and many of our regular callers, people with voices you're familiar with, are in there during, before, and after the show. And there's different topics that are different rooms for different topics. So there's like a cryptocurrency room, there's a gaming room, there's other topics there, including New Hampshire and Fork Fest. So go and check it out. It's free to get on there over at discord.lrn.fm, and that's where we have the Discord on-air call-in line room, which, like I said, we're going to go to here shortly. But I do want to let you know about Liberty.menu. Coming up, we're probably going to be interviewing the creator of Liberty.menu, Patrick. I expect he's going to be at ForkFest over the next several days, which kicks off on Thursday. But we've been talking about Liberty.menu over the past few months here on Free Talk Live because we've teamed up with them, given that our listeners have been asking forever for a good libertarian business directory website. And I'm sorry, but up until Liberty.menu, there hasn't really been a good one. There have been a few attempts, and I think they fizzled out, and they never really went anywhere. Liberty.menu is easy to use. It's beautiful. It works very well. It's a nice site, and it's got some content already. There's existing libertarian businesses run by voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists. If you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you're qualified to use Liberty.menu. You can go there and add whatever it is you do. Maybe you don't have a business. Maybe you're a content creator. Maybe you've got an event that you're promoting. You can do all of those categories. There's different categories for your listings, and it's free to use. So really, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do this, unless, of course, you want to keep it in the closet about being a libertarian. So if you want people to find out, who are other liberty-minded folks, that you're running a business and that you might be able to give them a service or product, then you should be on this website. Liberty.menu. You can use code FTL, and that will give you a special Free Talk Live listener badge in your profile there. We're going to get back to Danby's story from North Korea about going to a prison labor camp for the dastardly crime of smuggling things like DVDs. We'll tell you more about that coming up in moments. But first, we go to the Discord chat where Christian anarchist Gene is on the line with us. Hello, Gene.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Yeah, North Korea, I'm kind of excited. I've been wanting to go there for years. You know, every time we go to China, it's just a short hop over from China to North Korea.
But easier said than done.
Actually, from North Korea, it's not hard
From China,
to
you
do
mean?
it. I mean, from China, it's not really hard to do. It can be done. My wife would never wanted to go, so we never really made a serious effort. But now it's looking like perhaps it'll get a little bit easier, and perhaps we'll actually make a trip there this time. But
could be.
I'm, you know,
If so, I want you to call from North Korea and tell us all about it.
I will certainly.
Because
try.
I don't have the balls to go there, man. I'd be afraid I wouldn't make it out.
Well, I had that fear when I first went to China 25 years ago. You know, I figured that's going over there, communist country and all that, and I thought, oh my gosh, what happens if they throw me in a gulag and I never get out? I found out it wasn't at all like that. But I have a feeling that North Korea. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube about North Korea, people that have been there, and as far as the tourism and stuff, they do have tour groups that go through there, and they do kind of, you know, they treat them a little bit better. They try, you know, they try to.
They take them to all the North Korean government approved locations for tourists to see.
It's true. I mean, you're not going to see all of the dirty stuff.
No, you're not going to get to see the prison camps and you know, the nuclear test sites and the DMZ or anything. But why would you? They don't do that in the U.S. either.
Yeah,
you don't even get to go and see the poor neighborhoods either, right? Like you don't go off the beaten path.
No.
Because I'm such a, you know, I hate authoritarianism to such a great extent. I mean, authoritarianism to me is like hell on earth. And so for me to go there, it's just because I can't believe that such a place exists. And I just want to go there.
It would be fascinating. I do agree with you. I mean, when you see the documentaries, Vice or National Geographic or some of these other ones coming out of there, it's fascinating, like a train wreck is fascinating. And I got to say, I agree with you. I'm drawn to it simply because of that aspect, to want to actually see it for myself. But it's kind of sick, right? Like you want to see other people suffering or whatever. Well, I don't want to see that, right? Like,
well, the thing is, you probably wouldn't see it.
You wouldn't.
No, a good friend of mine, Jordan Harbinger, was actually taking tour groups for a while. He's
to North Korea.
Yeah, he's a relatively well-known podcaster. He was going for years. They were going with. He was kind of leading tour groups. Every story he tells is that he tells one story that's kind of horrific where they're driving down the road on a bus. He said, obviously, they had their handlers and everything, and they would go from place to approved place. They're driving down the road, and there's a horrendous... First off, he was like, there's no cars on the road, period. They're like the only ones.
Right.
He said there was a horrendous car wreck people dead on the road, the whole nine, and they're like that. No police, just people kind of just like standing there in shock. And he says to the guy, "Oh my God, we've got to stop the bus. Let's stop and help these people." And he's like, "What people?" He's like, "The car wreck. There's a car wreck right there." He's like, "No, there's not. There's no car wreck. Didn't happen. You're not seeing that." And he's like, "It's right. There's people. We have to help them." And he's like, "If there's a problem, the police will be there soon." I don't think this is he doesn't go back anymore. He's like, there's no way he'd go back at this point.
Right,
So.
because, to some extent, if you're on the official path, right? Like if you can't stray from the official path, that means you're putting money into their hands, right?
That's right.
That's right. To satiate your desire to see what it's really like, ultimately, you're helping the North Korean government in that case.
Well, it's the brainwashing that fascinates me, and I take that back. I take that lesson in brainwashing and I apply it here at home, because the brainwashing here is getting to the point where, because I did that in China. When I went to China, I saw the conditioning in China, and I brought back to home the lessons that I learned in China. And in reality, I found that in China, in some ways, there was less brainwashing than here. It depended on what areas of society we were talking about, because in some areas in China, I found that there was more liberty, and in some areas in the U.S., I found we had less liberty.
I would think if you lived in a sort of a dictatorship, you might very well understand it. But whereas if you're told your whole life you're free, and the land of the free, home of the brave, and all those things, then you might not see when your freedoms are slipping away, when you're moving down on the economic freedom charts around the world. You might not see the military-industrial complex collusion with the executive branch and the legislative branch, and how it manages to get people, young men and women, to go over to war zones and fight and die for something they call freedom, which is in fact the opposite.
Right. And see, what I went there originally 25 years ago, which is when China was opening up, and they were allowing market forces to start bringing prosperity to people. And at the same time, the U.S. is becoming more and more socialist. So I was watching these forces kind of reversing themselves. And I was looking at the U.S. becoming more like what I thought China was, and China becoming more or less like what I remember the U.S. being when I was a child. And to me, this was mind-blowing. I was just shaking my head going, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And I was, and
times change.
I'm looking at North Korea now, and I'm thinking, maybe this is what's going to happen with North Korea now. Because if they really are interested in what Trump showed them with the beaches and the the prosperity and stuff, and North Korea now decides to open their markets and become a free market, even a little bit free market, this could become it could become a sleeping tiger.
Thank you for the call tonight, Gene, the Christian Anarchist. I appreciate it. Of course, he's calling us there on the Discord on-air call-in line room, which you can join now if you like, over at discord.lrn.fm, or call in toll-free, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. A little bit more about North Korean prison labor camps. Your calls and thoughts certainly welcome. This is Free Talk Live.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dylan Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dylan bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dylan bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dylan bottle today at dyln.co. That's dyln.co.
Would it be okay if you had 2 paychecks instead of 1? I'm Pharmacist Keith. Dr. Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and myself want to show you how to get an extra paycheck every month, creating an extra income that will last for years to come by joining Dr. Wallach's crusade, spreading his message of better health. To learn more, visit radio.recordedvideo.com. That's radio.recordedvideo.com, radio.recordedvideo.com, or call 866-257-3105 for a recorded message.
Bewildered paralegal Caitlin Levy says that after returning home from work today, it occurred to her that oddly at no point during her day was she harassed, leered at, or made to feel humiliated or physically threatened.
It's weird. Looking back on it, I suddenly realized that not one strange man made a creepy comment at me or an obscene gesture or a sleazy look for like the whole day. How can that be?
The 29-year-old told reporters that even at points in her day when she is traditionally almost certain to be made uncomfortable by at least 1 or 2 leering male strangers, not a single such instance occurred.
I actually got to walk from the train to my office and never once catch some weirdo smiling at me or looking me up and down or slowing down his car to yell some shit out the window at me. I felt weirdly safe or something.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. While Donald Trump, of course, deserves credit for actually having a sit-down chat with Kim Jong-un that seems to be leading towards, at least if you believe the document they signed, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Complete.
Yeah.
Denuclearization. With you in the studio tonight, by the way, you've got Ian.
And Vin.
And Mark.
Vin Armani joining us from his website, vinarmani.com, where you do a video show of your own.
I do.
Weekly. Mondays?
Mondays.
Live at 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. Pacific time, yes.
Pacific time.
1 p.m.
Okay.
Eastern.
Okay, got it. And you're streaming on YouTube?
YouTube, Periscope, and then, of course, a podcast. And you can always check out the archives.
You can, and we've got the archives on LRN.FM now as well, so folks listening there probably already recognize your voice. But go check him out anytime you want at vinarmani.com. You do a lot of tweeting, by the way, so people can follow you there.
I'm trying to cut back.
That.
I'm trying to cut back
Really?
a little bit. Yeah, it dominates my life sometimes. I think I've yeah.
Do you do Facebook too?
No.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, that's a little much.
Yeah, I quit that earlier this year.
Let's not go crazy.
Yeah.
So, speaking of crazy, let's talk about these prison labor camps out of North Korea. We were sharing a story with you about a young woman who is now 26. Back when she was 10 years old in North Korea, she was forced to watch people being executed in the streets by the North Korean government. Then when she became a teenager, her eyes were opened to the levels of freedom that were available just south of the border there in South Korea, as she was watching smuggled DVDs which showed her things like blue jeans, girls talking to boys, and other shocking things, including highlighted hair, things that are prohibited, things that people hadn't even seen or heard of in their entire lives in North Korea, because if you don't have the official North Korean government-approved haircuts, you'll go to a prison labor camp.
It's amazing.
Communism in the Soviet Union wasn't nearly so socially conservative as must be in North Korea. The idea that seeing boys and girls talking or whatever.
So she says that she had begun doing some smuggling DVDs across, or like taking them from smugglers or whatever. In North Korea, she says girls were expected to be subservient. This story, by the way, from The Mirror over in the UK. She says further, wearing anything other than conservative North Korean clothing meant we'd be stopped by the youth brigade and interrogated.
Is the youth brigade full of young people, or is it?
Yeah, these are like your Hitler Youth.
A police force for the youth.
That's typical of any authoritarian state. You got to have that kind of that paramilitary.
Bring them in young.
You got to have the Cub Scouts kind of thing.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing the clothes of the imperial? And then there's a censored word here that begins with a B. Bastards, maybe?
Maybe.
I'm guessing bastards because it ends in an S. What is Kim Il-sung's birth date?
That's right. We have to know that.
Answering incorrectly saw us hit on the head, thighs, or buttocks, and then reported to parents, school, or police. She said, the DVDs showed me women elsewhere had freedom to change their looks and clothes and express their personalities. It was the biggest revelation of my life.
Could you imagine that is a revelation?
I know.
A revelation that you can change your clothes
and express yourself. Yeah. It's insane. It's hard to really
other dimension, man.
Imagining if a group of young people wanted to hit you on the head, all they had to say is you answered the question, what is Kim Il-sung's birthday wrong? Incorrectly,
which you're supposed to know, right? Like these are men who are revered as gods.
I don't know what
country.
it is. Hope not to get hit in the head. But that just because you said it correctly doesn't mean it gets reported that you said it correctly.
It's the world's worst game of Trivial Pursuit.
Right.
Danby built up a network of trusted people in China and would fill tractor inner tubes with contraband and then drag the load across the river. She smuggled anything from USB sticks and hair tongs.
I can't believe a young girl could drag a tractor tire.
Oh, it's just the inner tube. It was just the inner tube.
Okay.
Well, she was also, in addition to helping people kind of open their eyes, she was also making money.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is hard to come by in a place like North Korea, where people are trading choco pies as currency. She says she would smuggle things from USB sticks, which of course were packed with programming from the United States and South Korea on them, as well as hair tongs to tracksuits and black jeans. She then helped arrange reunions for long-lost families, and she goes on saying, quote, brokers pay people to find families in North Korea and help them meet their South Korean families in China. It's illegal to help North Koreans out of the country and make contact with foreigners. It's a dangerous crime considered akin to espionage and being involved with countries who are our enemy. And she says, I got caught. That was in 2010. One morning at 4:30 in the morning, the Baoibu, the secret police, burst into Danby's house and arrested her, as well as her brother, Nam-hoon, who was himself a police officer. For 25, that didn't help him, though.
No.
For 25 days, they were punched, kicked, and had to stand in stress positions for hours. They were fed just 30 kernels of corn per day.
Gosh.
That's even worse than Venezuela, I think, at this point.
By about, times 100.
Yeah.
Danby adds, quote, torture in a police station is hell, but in a political detention center, you're treated as if you're not human. We were driven to a block in a mountain range with hoods over our heads.
Oh my God.
I was made to watch while they hit my brother with a cane that sliced into his skin. When they tied his arms up and beat him, I cried at every punch and kick to his head. For me, they got a thick rod, jammed it between my knees, and made me sit like that for 8 hours.
Oh my God.
When I didn't confess, they hit me with a band until my skin turned black. She says my brother could hear me crying at night in an adjoining cell, so he gently sang to me through the pipes to calm me. He said he would take all the blame. I confessed to smuggling, but not the more serious crime. 6 weeks later, which seems relatively short compared to some sentences in North Korea, She was freed, but her brother has not been seen since. He is among the estimated 100,000 people, or as we heard earlier, 120,000 in these camps. So now,
oh my God.
Yeah, now a risk to her family. Danby had to escape. She fled on August 13th of 2011, at the time aged 19, crossed into China, then headed 3,000 miles to Southeast Asia to gain access to South Korea as a refugee. She's now married and working in a hotel, and she says, quote, "Starting a new life has been tough. I speak to relatives each week by phone. Fury over my brother's jailing still burns. But I have enjoyed new freedom. I feel a high when I watch an American film, wear blue jeans, dye my hair, or buy high heels. It's a fast heartbeat of deep gratitude that I can do things banned in my early years, yet so normal in the rest of the world." She says, "I've traveled to Washington to talk to the U.S. government, and I've spoken at universities to tell the real inside story of my home country. I'm going to do all I can to tell the world what life in North Korea is really like." So that's her story. And source from that, you can go to learn a little bit more about libertyinnorthkorea.org, which is a great organization that helps people like Danby get out. And then once they get out, smuggles them through China, because if they're caught in China, they'll be sent back to North Korea, because you're not supposed to be there in China. So you got to kind of get out from North Korea, get through China, which is not, a short journey, then hopefully escape into South Korea, where you will then have some level of safety. So it is a difficult process to escape from North Korea. And the folks over at Liberty in North Korea have for years been raising funds to, help people like this, to create a network, a support network in China and South Korea to, get these people out. So if you want, you can go and support them, and they've got, subscription programs. You can sign up and use your credit card to assist with this. Because as you guys have pointed out earlier, just because North Korea goes through denuclearization does not mean they're going to go through depenalization.
That's right.
And all of a sudden make it so people can access the internet. All of a sudden make it so people can access, the truth outside of North Korea.
If people can travel between North Korea and South Korea, it's over.
If they can.
That's why they're not going to allow it to happen. Because they can't let stories like this get out.
Yeah, I'm optimistic generally. I think that I want to see these things happen, but there's no evidence at this point that that's going to be on the table anytime soon. So, of course, we'll keep you in the loop here as this situation develops after the historic meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Trump is rightfully being criticized for not bringing this up, but at the same time, you can also kind of understand where he's coming from as well. I mean, it's not his job to, save the prisoners of the world, right?
This is true.
North Korea is a bad place. There's a terrible prison system there, but there's also a terrible prison system in the Philippines. Remember we talked about the jail.
Duterte.
Yeah, Duterte and the jail conditions there.
Wild.
Where we saw pictures. You look these pictures up, they will just bewilder you, where they have so many men in these jails or these prisons that they're literally sleeping on the stairwells.
Yeah, like outside and things.
Outdoors in a basketball court, like head to toe, people lined up right next to one another.
Insane.
One person on one stair, another person on the stair below that. It is just the most crazy.
They can't get up and use the bathroom at night because you couldn't walk.
You can't. We're just scratching the surface on what's going on in the Philippines. And again, Trump's not going to invade the Philippines. He probably loves Duterte.
Yeah.
There's more coming up here in moments. The toll-free. And again, that's just 2 countries. I'm sure we could go through a laundry list of the insane, horrific conditions in prisons around the world. It's Free Talk Live.
If you or anyone you love has been diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, your diagnosis may be the result of job-related exposure to asbestos, and you may be entitled to compensation. Over $30 billion in trusts have been set aside for individuals who have been affected by asbestos exposure. How do you protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve? Call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. Capital Legal Group is one of the nation's resources for settlement of lung cancer and mesothelioma cases. Law firms have successfully recovered over $2.7 billion for their clients in all 50 states, and claims have been paid in as little as 60 days. If you or a family member were diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. We'll open a no-cost case review on your behalf. A history of tobacco use or cigarette smoking will not disqualify your case. Visit 800-400-LUNG.com or call 800-400-LUNG. Call 800-400-5864 now. That's 800-400-LUNG.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,295 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $19, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,839. Antiwar.com reports on Monday, Doctors Without Borders, MSF, announced that they are suspending operations within northwest Yemen after Saudi warplanes attacked one of their medical sites. The attack badly damaged a cholera treatment center in the Abs region in northern Sadr province. The Saudi war and the Saudi-imposed naval blockade fueled the worst cholera outbreak in human history in Yemen over the past year, with over 1 million infected. There were no patients in the Abs facility at the time of the attack. Still, MSF says they have to suspend their operations out of concern for the safety of their staff and will keep their operations frozen until they get assurances that medical facilities will not be deliberately targeted. MSF mission head Joso Martins criticized the Saudi and UAE-led coalition, saying they show complete disrespect for medical facilities and patients. The Saudis have yet to comment on their latest attack, which is one of the many strikes on medical sites in northern Yemen. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, BMV, announced on Monday it will offer the option of a non-binary gender designation on driver's licenses and other identification cards. The BMV said in a statement that those who wish to identify as a non-binary gender will have to fill out a gender designation form, and the BMV will issue a sticker for the license or identification card that reads "Gender has been changed to X, non-binary." By next year, the sticker will be phased out and the non-binary gender will be designated on driver's licenses and identification cards as X. The decision came after the Maine Human Rights Commission filed a complaint last year on behalf of Maine resident Ian Meredith Danae Lindsay, who wanted to be designated as a non-binary gender but did not have the option to do so. Danae Lindsay said, "Words cannot adequately express the relief I feel and how happy I am that my ID will now reflect such an integral part of my identity and who I am." Vermont and Washington earlier this year began offering a Gender X designation on state documents, including driver's licenses, identification cards, and birth certificates. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday revived Ohio's contentious policy of purging infrequent voters from registration rolls in a ruling powered by 5 conservative justices and announced by liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor as an endorsement of the disenfranchisement of minority and low-income Americans. In a 5-4 decision in the closely watched voting rights case, the High Court overturned a lower court's ruling that Ohio's policy violated a 1993 federal law enacted to make it easier to register to vote. All 4 of the liberal justices dissented, and top Democrats said the decision will boost what they call Republican voter suppression efforts. But other states may now follow Ohio's lead. Voters purged from registration rolls who challenged the policy in the Republican-governed state argued that the practice illegally erased thousands of voters from registration rolls and disproportionately impacted minorities and the poor who tend to back Democratic candidates. The state said the policy was needed to keep voting rolls current, removing people who had moved away or died. Under Ohio's policy, if registered voters missed voting for 2 years, they were sent registration confirmation notices. If they did not respond or did not vote over the following 4 years, they were purged. 5 other states also removed voters from the registration list for failure to vote. The challengers called Ohio's policy the most aggressive. Many states over the past few decades have erected barriers to voting. The National Voter Registration Act, among other provisions, had forbade removing voters from registration lists for failing to vote. The challengers criticized what they called Ohio's use it or lose it policy that they said violated registered voters' rights to choose when to vote, noting that some voters do not cast a ballot when they do not support any of the candidates running. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Hamburglar urges a Senate subcommittee to robble. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Hamburger advocate and convicted felon Hamburglar denounced a prison system he called robble as he testified before the Senate subcommittee on penal reform. Hamburglar, convicted in 1998 of breaking and entering a McDonald's hamburger franchise in South Beloit, Wisconsin, and currently serving a sentence of 3 to 5 years, made this impassioned plea before being interrupted by U.S. Senator Bob Smith of Rhode Island.
Certainly there is room for improvement in our prison system, but I would hardly call the current situation robble.
After delivering his message to the subcommittee, Hamburglar was promptly placed in chains and returned to prison to serve out the remainder of his sentence in solitary confinement. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free to join us here. The number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up here, in fact, we're going to jump into Mark's story, the 15 signs the middle class is being destroyed, and see how many of them we can actually get through. Joining you tonight in the studio, it's Ian.
And Vin.
And Mark.
As we continue again, toll-free number 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can also join us via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM or the Discord on-air call-in line room, which is the top room on our Discord server. You can jump in there and sound like almost like you're sitting in the studio with us at discord.lrn.fm. Mark, where's your story from?
The Economic Collapse blog. Bunch of good news comes out of there. I gotta tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
cheery.
they're a bunch of jovial fellas over there at the Economic
Glass
Collapse.
is half full type of guys.
The glass is half full and full of urine.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Is that what they do over there? Are they like survivalist types? Is that what it is?
They're just bears, basically.
Okay.
Economic bears.
I see.
Economic bears, Ian.
Because we met a guy. We met a guy at, and we didn't talk to him about it on the air, but at Anarchapulco, who swore by drinking his own urine.
No, that's not good.
That it solved
as a solution to something.
Yeah, no. He said it was like a panacea.
In the morning, first thing in the morning, actually one of my first business mentors from India, and his wife swore by it.
Yeah.
She did it every morning.
Yep.
This guy did it just before he started his interview with us. He admitted that to us. So apparently he's doing it throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only heard that it's first morning, but that sounds absolutely horrible.
You gotta get less fresh. Yeah, it's all horrible. If your solution is drinking urine, I shudder to think what your problems are.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
he was
going on.
Nice enough man though.
He was. Everybody I've ever met that drinks their own urine was very pleasant.
Okay.
I actually can second that emotion.
Right?
All right, let's get into it.
You have to be flexible. If that's what you're going to do, right? All right, going on. This is the 15 signs that the middle class in the United States is being systematically destroyed. And I'm not reading this because I necessarily believe that this statement is true, but more because I think that the 15 points are all very interesting.
It's something to talk about for sure.
Now, did they define what they mean by middle class? Because I think that's a very subjective term, isn't it?
Well, I think you generally what people do is they take income and then they break it out into quintiles.
Okay.
Meaning 20%, bottom 20%, top 20%, and then middle 60. So middle class is either the middle 20%, so the third quintile.
Got it.
Or it's the middle 3 quintiles, depending
60%.
Yeah, so it would be lower middle class, and upper middle class.
Gotcha.
So you have the lowest class, which we call working class, which probably isn't true at all. We have the highest class,
fair enough,
which is high, upper class or whatever, which probably isn't making that much money and mostly just lives in metros where you have to make a lot of money to have an upper middle class.
San Francisco,
lifestyle.
LA, New York,
those kind of things. So, if your family's really struggling right now, you're far from alone. I've been publishing the Economic Collapse blog for more than 8 years, and all throughout that time, I've seen the middle class in America get smaller and smaller and smaller. It's always as if we're all playing a really bizarre game of musical chairs, and every month, someone pulls a few more chairs from the game. Yes, there are some people...
That's called inflation.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some people that have gotten exceedingly wealthy over the past 8 years, and most of that wealth is concentrated in places such as New York, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco.
And Bitcoin holders.
Yeah, Bitcoin holders. Yeah, but
hodlers.
Yeah, hodlers. But meanwhile, most of the rest of the country has been steadily getting poorer. Just take a look at Detroit. At one time, it had the highest per capita income in the entire nation. And now it's rotting, decaying. It's a rotting, decaying war zone. Of course, dozens of other formerly great manufacturing cities all over the nation have suffered a similar fate. Since 2001, we've all lost more than 70,000 manufacturing facilities and millions of good-paying manufacturing jobs. Now, I read a statistic not too long ago that said that that more manufacturing is being done in the United States than ever before, although there are fewer jobs.
Because of robots.
Automation, yeah.
It's robots, right? And ultimately what it comes down to. Now, this guy's created a premise that is, he's created the premise, the straw man, and now he's going to attack it at some point. But I got to say this, even prior, you mentioned Bitcoin hodlers, and certainly here on Free Talk Live, the Shire Free Church has benefited from the cryptocurrencies. But prior to even that, I remember paying off my house in 2011. Now, that was completely done by shoestrings and eating at home and
you came from prison.
Yeah, saving money and all those things. Right. I wouldn't say completely, but it was just.
You did get a loan from your mom.
Yeah. My mom helped buy the house, but then I paid her back on it.
So that would make you middle class in that case, right?
Well,
see, I've always thought that's what the middle class was. I've always thought that the middle class was like that you could buy a house, pay it off before you had fully retired, then be able to retire and sort of like it. Maybe back in the day it was like only one person had to work. It's like you're not wealthy. Maybe you don't pass on a huge inheritance or something like that, but at least you end up owning your house. Maybe
I paid
owning
mine
a car.
off in 3 years.
Well, that's impressive.
Now, admittedly, it was an 800 square foot house, but it was big enough for everything we needed.
Right.
So, that was. I managed to do that in the economic downturn we just did a bunch of belt tightening. No, no cable TV. Just basically, what are these line items here? Can we X off? We need to save money.
Right, and that's something that a lot of Americans just don't do. And we've talked about that.
Sure, they stop off at Starbucks and get that big $5 cup of coffee.
They've got spending habits on vices. They've got spending habits that are beyond what their means are.
I'm very bad, not beyond my means, but I'm just very bad at like letting things go in that way, man. I've got probably a couple $100 worth of subscriptions that I have no idea of that just come out of my bank account I'm horrible with that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Those subscriptions, we went after every single one of them.
Yeah,
there was two of them that I chose during that time frame to keep going. One is a email tracking software, so I can see whether people open up their emails or not. And I felt like I needed that as a salesperson. Yep. And the second one was Google giving them $2 a month for larger capacity of storage or whatever. whatever. I probably could just go through my memory or whatever and X out a bunch of things that I don't need, but whatever. I was paying the $2 a month. So anyway, let's go through the. In order to have a thriving middle class, you need middle class jobs, and our country is in desperate need of those jobs. At this point, most American families are living on the edge, and more are falling into poverty with each passing month. And the following are 15 signs the middle class in the United States is being systematically destroyed.
Well, before we get into it, though, I have just a further comment on this question of spending habits and being able to look at that. So what you did, it sounds like, with your wife, your family, was you looked real close at...
By the way, my wife did most of this, but
I believe it. You don't handle the money in your household.
She removed all power of spending from me because I can talk a big game in the short term, but in the long term, she's got that marathon runner attitude about things.
Great.
Yeah.
So, but you don't get to be wealthier by spending like a poor person spends, right?
Every dollar you spend today is $7 for retirement.
That's right.
So you did what a wealthier person would do, which is to say, live as poorly as possible, meaning living without all the extraneous crap. You didn't have a 60-inch television. You didn't have a luxury sedan that you were paying monthly on.
Wait a second. We had a 50-inch television, and I felt like it was a worthy inclusion in our budget because if you stay at home, if you don't watch movies, you get your entertainment at home, and say through Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever you're getting. That $500 is, it amortizes out.
Okay, but you paid cash for that television, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You didn't go down to Rent-A-Center.
If you ever go to Rent-A-Center, you have if walking in the door of Rent-A-Center shows that you have already made a whole bunch of mistakes in life.
Yeah.
Sorry to any stations that have Rent-A-Center advertising on the show, but if you're going into Rent-A-Center and it's not because you desperately need to use the bathroom, boy, are you in big trouble.
All right, so it's all about how you spend. So even if people have better jobs, like he's saying, if they're spending poorly and they're not saving their money, then they're still going to end up in bad economic circumstances.
It's not what you make, it's what you spend.
Exactly. So more coming up here, 855-450 free. We'll start the list on the way, and you can comment as well. 855-450-3733. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation. A difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. We're talking about economics. We're talking about wealth, being able to spend well and save well and all that. And the question overall here is going to be 15 alleged reasons why the middle class is disappearing, according to, what was the blog again?
The Economic Collapse blog.
The Economic Collapse blog. We'll get into that. We don't necessarily agree with them, so we're going to analyze these as we go through. And, of course, you're free to call in and talk about anything you want. It's Ian, Vin, and Mark in the studio tonight. Also, don't forget, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Zencash. You have a lot of choices in the world of cryptocurrency. If you're a voluntarist, if you're somebody who cares about the ideas of liberty, then you probably want to look into Zencash because your fellow voluntarists were the creators of Zencash. It was made by people who understand liberty and they understand economics, and they've got a great roadmap for the future of Zencash. You can go to zencash.com to learn more about it. You'll learn about their 11,000 plus secure nodes, which means they are currently number 2 in the world, just after Ethereum as far as strength of nodes on a network.
It's impressive.
Yeah, so Bitcoin itself, BTC, Bitcoin Core, has just over 10,000 nodes. So they've already exceeded Bitcoin's node count. So go and learn a lot more about Zencash. You'll learn about their secure nodes and how you can get paid if you run one of these secure nodes, or the upcoming so-called super nodes, as we heard about last week for the first time from one of their programmers, Rob, who we had on the show to talk in detail about what's going on with Zencash. Zencash.com, not only do they have the ideas of voluntarism behind them, but they've also got some of the best technology like zero-knowledge anonymity. So privacy is important to you, then you can get that from Zencash as well. Go to zencash.com as we continue here. Mark, you were about to get into the 15 list. Does it go from 15 to 1 or 1 to
1 to 15?
Okay,
These are the 15 reasons the middle class in America is being systematically destroyed.
So are these ranked? Are these ranked?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're ranked.
Okay.
I think
it's no particular order. Okay.
Yeah. And for me, I just thought that all these facts were kind of interesting and worthy of talking about. Not that I agree that the middle class is being systematically destroyed. Got it. So 78 million Americans are participating in the gig economy because full-time jobs just don't pay enough to make ends meet these days. But didn't we just call that working overtime back in the day?
Having a second job.
Having a second job. Moonlighting. Remember,
moonlighting, sure.
And the gig economy is better than a second job, right? Because if you have a first job, having a second job was always a challenge to try to get them all to interact, right? Because your first job schedule is the most important. Then you're trying to get your second job to give you a schedule that'll work around the first job, and sometimes that doesn't always work out depending on what hours they have available. But with a gig economy, you set your own hours. So TSA George is actually in the studio hanging out with us here tonight, and he's now Uber George. He's been doing Ubering for a few years, and you get to log into these apps when you want to.
Right.
So that means that if you're in a city, which is usually where you want to be if you want to do this kind of gig work, if you're in a city and you feel like working after you get off your other job for however many hours you want to, you can. So you are basically a contract worker rather than an employee who has to figure out their schedule in advance. That's a big bonus, actually. That's an improvement on the situation for somebody that felt as though they had to have a second job previously. Now they don't have to have a job. Now they can go and just do this gig economy thing as often as they want. That's huge.
Actually, a business partner of mine, he was trying to start up another business, and instead of making it his side hustle, he was like, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit my full-time so that I can at least devote more time to this business that I'm starting up, and then to supplement any income as it's starting to build, I'm going to do this Uber thing.
Right.
I'm going to do Lyft.
Perfect.
That just was not an option for entrepreneurs in the past.
Not 10 years ago.
It's a great option. It's going to allow many more businesses, people to take a shot, because you don't feel like, I can't leave my full-time. What am I going to do for work?
Right.
It's like, at least I have this thing.
Right. How much wealth in America has been created because somebody had the guts to take a shot? If you make it easier for somebody to take a shot, then you're going to see more wealth created. And not just for individuals that start the business, but generally for people who are, the people who are working for them at the same time.
That's right.
Great points.
Number 2, in 2011, the average home price was 3.5 times the average yearly salary in the United States. By the time 2017 was finished, the average home price was 4.73 times the average yearly salary in the United States. So there's been a significant...
That does sound bad.
Yeah. When you're looking at across the averages...
Wait, what was the first year?
3.56 and then 4.73.
But what was the year?
2011 versus 2017.
But can we see some, because that's 3 years after the crash, so it's can we see 2007 maybe?
Yeah, when
more
really...
data points.
Can I get another data point?
There's not enough data points.
Yeah, it's all about the data points in something like this. Is you just pick 2 arbitrary times, and blah blah blah, and there you are. Number 3, in 1980, the average American worker's debt was 1.96, that's basically 2 times, larger than his or her monthly salary. Today, that number is ballooned to 5 times their monthly salary. So 1980, they basically 2 times their monthly salary was their debt, and today it's ballooned to 5 times their debt.
Yeah.
So,
but again, no more data points for us to compare.
I would blame this to some extent in 1980.
Because it could be just cherry
picking. There weren't credit cards. People didn't have credit cards in 1980.
That's exactly it. I remember in maybe 9th grade or something, call it 1986, I got my first credit card, which was a Bell's card. My mother wanted me to be able to build my credit and all those things. It had I think a $500 limit or a $100 limit. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was really, really low.
Well, how did you handle it? How old were you?
Fine. It was Bell's. What was I going to buy there? Shirt.
Oh, you could only use it at that store.
It was a Bell's store, yeah.
I see.
So you started with
store credit card.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you started with a store credit card, then you went on to something more after that.
Gotcha.
But that's really what it came down to is that now they're marketing credit cards to college students who have no jobs.
That's right.
So, that is, and by the way, young people tend to be the worst at managing money.
Sure.
If they were good at it, they would all take their money for the first 5 years they worked, invest it in a 401k, and then have their retirement handled at $1 million or something. So, but they don't. There's some formula out there that I was shown when I was younger and didn't invest. So anyway, the United States today, 66% of all jobs pay less than $20 an hour.
Hold on, is this another one?
This is number
4? Okay.
In the United States today, 66% of all jobs pay less than $20 an hour. I don't know what that's relative to, or
is that inflation adjusted as compared to?
He's not even comparing it, right? He's not even giving us a
It's just
another point.
Right. Well, I agree that these points are not good evidence that the middle class is being
because
given.
in 1863 all jobs were less than $20 an hour. Like, what do you want?
Right. I saw an interesting one. It was like in the 1830s, 85% of Americans were below the poverty line, which yeah, I mean, but
they were farming.
But there was
subsistence farming.
Yeah, and a bad season meant people got thin.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So anyway, got number 5.
Well, not
here.
to mention the Depression, right?
Yeah, that was well before that. That was 100 years before that.
I'm sorry, you said 1830s. I'm sorry, I thought you said 1930. Apologize.
Number 5, 102 million working age Americans, so about a third of them, I'd say, do not have a job right now. That number is higher than it was at any point during the last recession. This is true.
That one is scary because there are not 300 million working age Americans.
No.
There are probably 200 maybe? So half? What are we talking about? 50%?
I don't know.
That is
I'll take a look.
Let's continue here in moments. More from this list of the 15 alleged reasons why the middle class is supposedly being destroyed. And you can weigh in with your thoughts at 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com. Or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive.
It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free. Bring up whatever you want to discuss. Our number here, 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. As we continue, you can also call in on Skype. Maybe you want to weigh in on this discussion we're having about the middle class. Is it being destroyed? Or is there just an alarmist blog that wants to paint that picture so they can sell some books? Or is it somewhere in the middle? Maybe
probably somewhere in the middle, I would say.
Because I think there is some truth to the idea that, in fact, I think there's a lot of truth to the idea that the government is debasing the currency.
No doubt.
And that is making life a lot harder for everybody, not just the middle class, but certainly the poor. I mean, obviously, if you're very wealthy, then if the government increases the money supply, it's going to hurt you, but not as much. So the poorer you are, the more harmed you are by the manipulation of the money supply. And that causes all kinds of problems. But then again, Americans compound the problems by having bad financial habits in the first place, as we were talking about with credit card debt.
That's right.
The tremendous amount of debt that people in the United States have, and apparently they now have more of because of the proliferation of credit cards and easy credit. So we can continue with all of that discussion. And again, our toll-free number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450, free like freedom. You can also Skype in at lrn.fm or jump on our Discord on-air call-in line room at discord.lrn.fm, where the chat has been blowing up tonight. There's just a lot of there's way too much to even follow at this point. So thank you to everybody participating there on our Discord. Mark, let's continue here. Which one do we leave off on? I don't think we'd finished the discussion on it.
Number 5, 102 million working-age Americans do not have a job right now. And that number is higher than it has been ever at any point during the last recession. And that would be, basically higher than I think it's ever been ever. More or less. I mean, so
there's more people living here,
right? There's more people living in America.
Point,
so,
yeah.
But I guess about a third of I don't know I can't figure this out. How many working age Americans there are? There's more than 300 million Americans, but working age is considered something like 16 to 64. People are working a lot longer, but they wouldn't be counted as working age whether or not. And people are going to work a lot later. Kids are, in many cases, aren't starting jobs until they're 24.
Oh, God.
And as far as I'm concerned, you're ruined. If you're
these
not
are the helicopter parents' kids, right? Where their mommy and daddy are always hovering over them, trying to protect them from any kind of experience in life, and then sending them off to college and discouraging them from working while they're in college. So, then they finally get released out of college, and they don't have a clue as to how to do the most basic job functions. They've never had one. So they don't know how to show up on time.
That's right.
They don't know how to smile when they're dealing with their customers. They have no experience whatsoever.
Earnings for low-skilled jobs have stayed very flat. This is number 6. Very flat for the last 40 years. Now, obviously, we're talking about adjusted for inflation. Because I can tell you that 40 years ago, I was 7. I know that at 15 years old, I was making $3.35 an hour. That was minimum wage. So, clearly, minimum wage is significantly higher than that now. It's more than double that. But the price of things is higher too.
Absolutely.
And there's more things to buy. Now, I couldn't walk around with a mini computer in my pocket that kept me busy all times of day and night.
Sure.
Back in 1986, because the technology just wasn't there. So I think that, it's true. You've got to claw your way up. But I think part of the problem is that young people aren't getting to work early enough either,
Absolutely. Let's go to your calls, though. I've got Matthew on the line in Louisiana watching us online via YouTube. Go ahead, Matthew.
Hey. Ian.
Yes, sir.
Mark.
And Vin.
And who's the third guy in the studio tonight? I think that's another.
Vin Armani.
Vin Armani is with us here tonight. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Ian, remember I'd asked you so long ago, back when we were writing Tyrannosaurus Rexes to work, about whether you thought that the basis of society was the individual or the family, and you said that you thought it was the individual. Well, I talked to a conservative last week, and they said they thought it was the family.
Okay.
Which brings another question to mind. How can you have any families without individuals?
Indeed.
I'll have to ask that question.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yes.
Your immigration idea is almost exactly the same as the one proposed by Rush Limbaugh.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I haven't listened to Rush in a long time. Good.
Recap the idea briefly.
Sure. Basically, anybody can come to this country that wants to. There'll be no welfare for them. Secondly, they mayn't ever, the people that come mayn't ever receive the right to vote. At no point. They'll just get basically a second-class level of citizenship, and it will never include the right to vote, and they will never get welfare. I suspect what that will bring to the country are people, A, that understand that voting is a statistically insignificant act of very little value to the individual, and B, that want to work hard and make a better life for themselves, their children, and their progeny into the future. And that's only good for them and us.
That's like the Koreans living in Japan. So I thought I'd have some fun with a couple of local issues. One was we had the great naked bicycle ride down here this last Saturday.
Excellent.
And there were people just freaking out about this. I'm thinking to myself, a naked bicycle ride in southeast Louisiana is kind of like they're punishing themselves.
Just because it's so hot?
I missed out on the opportunity to get some Gold Bond powder in those little travel size bottles to sell at the end of the ride.
He's talking about chafing. You're talking about chafing
here.
Okay. Another thing that
if you get a testicle caught between a bike seat and your thigh, you're going to know about it.
There's shortcomings.
Now, Matthew, I'm curious. In Louisiana, is it illegal to be naked in public?
Oh, absolutely.
So what happened to these bike riders?
Police in Orleans Parish are very selective about when they enforce this.
Okay, so they left them alone. So people were able to do a naked bike ride and not have mass arrests?
Yeah, not to mention the fact that the police were basically guarding the public from having to see something that they would probably cause them to go and find a convent.
Right. I mean, the people that are participating in the naked bike ride are not worth seeing naked.
Usually that's the case.
Yeah, that's
generally the people people worth seeing naked will charge you for that pleasure.
we are in the age of Instagram, though, so you never know.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, anything else you want to share?
Thing that happened not too long. Yeah, nothing happened not too long ago is that the state of Louisiana re-illegalized bestiality. And when I first heard about this, you guys have infected me. You've put a worm in my brain. The first thing I thought was, who is the victim? Are the beasts up there complaining?
Was it legal?
Is Trigger?
He was saying they legalized it.
No, they illegalized
they never legalized it.
Re-illegalized
it down because it was part of the anti-sodomy law.
I see.
This wasn't one of those early omnibus laws.
So wait, just to be clear, it's legal to conduct bestiality?
It was until
recently.
It's now
not legal.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Right, and so
the pervert train to Louisiana has just stopped. So Ian, basically there was a law that had a whole bunch of things that outlawed a whole bunch of sexual acts, including bestiality.
Yeah.
That law was struck because, we can't have our gay friends being illegalized. Got it? So then, in the process, that made bestiality legal. I don't know what happened in Louisiana that some politician felt like he needed to reintroduce this, or what he thinks he's going to stop.
The sheep sex tourism was out of control.
Hey, Matthew, good call. Appreciate it.
Dr. Doolittle was up there talking about it. I mean, he was just telling the legislators that the beasts were complaining.
Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. We got more on the way here. Your calls and thoughts certainly welcome. And what number are we on this list of 15?
Number 7.
Yeah, we're not even halfway done with it. So we'll see how many more we can get through here.
2 interesting facts, though.
Yeah, well, interesting facts, but not with a lot of comparison.
No.
Not really that useful. Without full data points, but we'll continue here because it is still worth talking about some of the stuff they're bringing up. More on the way. You can share your thoughts, whether it's on bad economic habits or whatever you want, in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, which are imminent. 855-450 free is our toll-free number. It's Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M, of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations for referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com or 888-212-8871.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. We got a little bit of time here for you to join us if you want to get on the radio with us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about economics, basically, and the claim, according to one blog, that the middle class is being destroyed. They're providing what they claim are 15 signs of that happening. We're going to continue with that list here. We were leaving off, I believe, at number 7. It's Ian, Vin, and Mark in the studio here. Mark, cite the blog again for me.
The Economic Collapse blog.
Okay, go ahead then.
Yep, number 7, and this is the one that I saw that I'm like, I got to read this on the air.
Okay.
Americans have been spending more money than they make for 28 months in a row.
I would figure it'd be 28 years in a row.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a lot longer.
No, they got better during the economic downturn. They tightened their
belts, huh?
And but now
they're back to their old ways.
Well, it's easy to that all the advertising, everything the whole society and culture is about is spend, spend, spend.
Sure, you need to be more important than your neighbors by having a fancier car.
It goes even deeper than that. The currency itself is inflationary.
That's right.
It disincentivizes savings.
It disincentivizes the money.
But how many people are aware of that? Like,
it doesn't matter. People react to incentives and systems, and
the
simple fact that that's true makes people less thrifty.
Okay,
so I just want to warn people: look, you can have some nice stuff now, or you can have a much better life in the future, but you really can't have both of those things.
Right.
There has to be a time for belt tightening, and be prepared because things are going to be bad in retirement age if you don't do it now. All right.
Point.
Number 8. In the United States today, the average young adult with student loan debt has a negative net worth. So,
meaning
they're in debt.
The amount of what they can earn versus what they're in debt is.
Well, if you're talking net worth, though, don't some huge percentage of not young adults, Americans in general have negative net worth because of the lack of equity in their home, for instance?
Yep, I'd say that's true. So I don't know but that's not the average American. The average American apparently has some equity. Anyway,
I don't know if that's.
I don't either.
I don't believe it.
Is net worth calculated by like their ability to earn compared to their debt? I mean, I don't know anything about
how much. So it's like how much in debt you are, as opposed to how much assets you have. So it's like if I have $100,000 in the bank, but I owe $300,000 on my house,
your net worth's negative $200,000.
Negative $200,000.
Okay.
I believe. I want to say, especially after 2008,
the
vast majority of Americans have negative net worth, I want to say.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. Number 9, at this point, the average American household is nearly $140,000 in debt.
What? Oh, because the house.
Probably the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just consider whatever you're in debt on your credit cards. Take a look at that because it's dangerous stuff that'll eat you alive.
It's killing people.
Mm-hmm.
The poverty rate in the U.S. Suburbs have increased by 50% since 1990.
I believe that.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the suburbs saves them, but poverty is increasing in the burbs. Almost 51 million U.S. households can't afford basics like rent and food. So 51 million, you're talking about, let's see, a third of the population, a sixth of the population.
No, that's households. That's not people.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's way more than that, dude.
Yeah, it's closer to a third, probably. Maybe even more than that.
Can't afford rent or food. That's over the top, man.
A lot of people on welfare.
The bottom 40% of all U.S. households bring in just 11.4% of all income. So
go back, say that one again.
The bottom 2 quintiles, the bottom 40% of U.S. households bring in just 11.4% of all income. So,
that might just be Pareto distribution, though. I think that's probably. I think in any system it would be like that.
I'm not stunned by that particular stat. According to the Federal Reserve, 4 out of 10 Americans, I like this one. Well, I don't like it. I think it's simple. Don't have enough money to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something that they own.
Yeah, that's true. We've talked about those before.
For sure.
40% of Americans can't put their hands on $400 if they need it.
Yep, absolutely.
They don't have any kind of sort of emergency money.
Well, they say 60%.
But I was certainly in this at one
60%
point.
have less than $1,000.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
So that apparently 20% can only put their hands on $600, $700, $800.
Yeah, most of these people will go into severe situation if they lose one paycheck, right? Like if they miss a paycheck,
right?
It's tough.
Yeah,
they might lose their house.
That's where the
apartment,
the car loan places and stuff like that. That's where they
feed off of those people.
Payday loans, all that.
50% interest rates, 30% interest rates, things like that.
22% of all Americans cannot pay all of their bills in a typical month.
22%.
I believe that. I mean, most of these people are getting into debt and not intending to pay it off anytime soon, right? They get their credit card and they charge up all these things on it that they don't need, and then they pay the minimum. So they're never going to get out of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The number 15, the final one. Today, U.S. households are collectively $13 trillion in debt, and that's an all-time record high.
Still less than the federal government.
Dollars. It is less than the federal government, but the federal government would like you to believe that that's your debt too.
Right.
So you can tack that 22 trillion on top of that 13 trillion.
Wow.
So yeah, the statistics aren't looking great for Americans, middle class Americans, poor Americans. There's no statistics here about people in the top quintile and how they're doing. But frankly, it's not even the top quintile. It's the top quintile of the top quintile that is really making all the money out there. So when you think of poverty in America, you're going on with the article. When you think of poverty in America, you probably think of our blighted inner cities, but that's not where poverty is growing the fastest. According to author Scott Allard, it's actually in our suburbs where poverty is growing more rapidly than anywhere else. This is tens of millions of square feet of retail spaces being closed down. And why formerly great shopping malls all over America now resemble ghost towns. When I was growing up, the shopping mall was the place to be for the average middle-class kids.
Not now.
Well,
Amazon killed that.
Yeah. My family was middle-class, and virtually everyone that I knew was middle-class.
I mean, it really should have.
Malls sucked. I mean, the fact is they were expensive.
Yes.
I mean, if you were buying stuff at the mall, then you're going to be more poor because you're paying way too much. You could go and get clothes at Kmart or Walmart or other places for much less, or whatever it was that you were going to purchase. Even the more fancier items, video games or electronics, you can still get those cheaper anywhere else in the marketplace outside of the mall. So it wasn't a smart shopper's place. It was just a place where people hung out who were young in the 1980s, and then
it was a sign of prosperity. It was like
that's true.
It was a prosperity signal, but you play around with those prosperity signals for long enough, you're not prosperous anymore.
Well, right, and if life is getting more difficult, and it is, right?
Yep.
If the federal government is inflating the money supply, meaning that the quality of living is going down, and you're not making more generally to adjust for that, because usually wages don't keep up with inflation over time, so you're still getting paid, $10 an hour or whatever you were, but yet they're inflating the money supplies, which means the prices of things go up. People are going to look for ways to cut costs, and so people probably decided, screw shopping at the mall, we're going to Amazon because we can get it delivered to us. We don't have to spend the time and the effort, and can get it cheaper. So I mean, they won for a reason. And so good riddance to malls.
I don't look for clothes. I looked for clothes at the mall at one point in my life, and I don't look for clothes at Amazon. I generally go to places like, I'm just telling you, I generally go to places like Marshalls.
You can go get a candle or whatever it is that people buy at malls, right?
When I went to the mall, it was because they had arcades there.
Sure.
They had
now that we can mourn. I think we can all
we can mourn the mall arcade. You just brought back memories.
Right. They had arcades. They had the Orange Julius and the places where you could get
the hot dog on a stick, the girls with the hats smashing the lemons,
things like those things. And
somebody's going to clip that. You just did there.
Pretty awesome from that standpoint. But it's because all the kids my age were there, and that's why I would do those things. So I don't mourn malls. To me now, whenever I go into one, all they look like is giant jewelry stores to me.
If they're even open. I mean, they've been closing left and right. The malls are it's a real sign of the times. It is. But the good news about all this bad news is you don't have to be subjected to these bad habits. You can change your habits at any time. Like you said, Mark, do do a look at your budget. Look at if you're not doing a budget, maybe you should. If you're having trouble economically, what are you spending money on? Sit down, look at that stuff. If you can afford it, start putting some of those dollars, which are going to be inflated by the government, into other things. Maybe some precious metals like gold and silver, maybe some cryptocurrencies. So again, don't invest what you can't afford to lose, but anything that you can take out of the fiat money system and the government money system is value they can no longer touch.
Don't forget that gig economy. If you need to make ends meet, there are opportunities out there.
Vin Armani, check him out at vinarmani.com, and we're going to continue tomorrow night. You can join us online in the meantime over at freetalklive.com.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,295 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $19, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,839. Antiwar.com reports on Monday, Doctors Without Borders, MSF, announced that they are suspending operations within northwest Yemen after Saudi warplanes attacked one of their medical sites. The attack badly damaged a cholera treatment center in the Abs region in northern Sadr province. The Saudi war and the Saudi-imposed naval blockade fueled the worst cholera outbreak in human history in Yemen over the past year, with over 1 million infected. There were no patients in the Abs facility at the time of the attack. Still, MSF says they have to suspend their operations out of concern for the safety of their staff and will keep their operations frozen until they get assurances that medical facilities will not be deliberately targeted. MSF mission head José Martins criticized the Saudi and UAE-led coalition, saying they show complete disrespect for medical facilities and patients. The Saudis have yet to comment on their latest attack, which is one of the many strikes on medical sites in northern Yemen. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, BMV, announced on Monday it will offer the option of a non-binary gender designation on driver's licenses and other identification cards. The BMV said in a statement that those who wish to identify as a non-binary gender will have to fill out a gender designation form, and the BMV will issue a sticker for the license or identification card that reads "Gender has been changed to X, non-binary." By next year, the sticker will be phased out and the non-binary gender will be designated on driver's licenses and identification cards as X. The decision came after the Maine Human Rights Commission filed a complaint last year on behalf of Maine resident Ian Meredith Danae Lindsay, who wanted to be designated as a non-binary gender but did not have the option to do so. Danae Lindsay said, "Words cannot adequately express the relief I feel and how happy I am that my ID will now reflect such an integral part of my identity and who I am." Vermont and Washington earlier this year began offering a Gender X designation on state documents, including driver's licenses, identification cards, and birth certificates. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday revived Ohio's contentious policy of purging infrequent voters from registration rolls in a ruling powered by 5 conservative justices and denounced by liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor as an endorsement of the disenfranchisement of minority and low-income Americans. In a 5-4 decision in the closely watched voting rights case, the High Court overturned a lower court's ruling that Ohio's policy violated a 1993 federal law enacted to make it easier to register to vote. All 4 of the liberal justices dissented, and top Democrats said the decision will boost what they call Republican voter suppression efforts. But other states may now follow Ohio's lead. Voters purged from registration rolls who challenged the policy in the Republican-governed state argued that the practice illegally erased thousands of voters from registration rolls and disproportionately impacted minorities and the poor who tend to back Democratic candidates. The state said the policy was needed to keep voting rolls current, removing people who had moved away or died. Under Ohio's policy, if registered voters missed voting for 2 years, they were sent registration confirmation notices. If they did not respond or did not vote over the following 4 years, they were purged. 5 other states also removed voters from the registration list for failure to vote.